Your favorite part?
Hey everybody, it's Rex and Nell, and we're here with our friend Liz Roylance. And we apologize we started a little bit late today, but a little bit of the spoony life. I was actually going to do it in the middle room where you see the lights in the back. 5 minutes before, Nell's like, "Well, you can do it in here," and so it's kind of IT, uh, miracle in
I
5 minutes.
asked very nicely, would you like to do it in here? I I think I can do it.
Yeah, so
So
we was
so
able
there
to.
we are.
Yep. So this is a good setup for today, and you guys should be able to still see us. We got our laptop instead of our TV wall monitor for our friend here, and we're really excited to have you, Liz.
Yes.
Um,
I'm excited to be talking to you. So am
yeah,
I.
absolutely. This gets recorded and uploaded to YouTube, and we usually they last about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But if you're, it doesn't have to be that long. So if you're, tired or sick of us, just raise your hand, and we'll we'll cut you loose.
Well,
But
also really in the future for anyone that you guys know we've gone maybe just over an hour with a couple of people who just weren't feeling well.
Yeah.
And we're obviously very, very sensitive to that. So,
yeah.
so
And
Liz, you let us know as well if you're just like, it got it.
And you can see also that our background has changed a little bit. If you're used to joining us in the room here next to Nell when she's not up or in a place where she can be on camera, we've got the background changed.
Yeah,
So
you
she's
need
got.
to show us Yodel real quick.
You want me to
Little
do a little bit of swivel here?
Just right there,
Boom.
right there.
Check
Stop.
out what's the name of that?
Yodel.
And what is it?
He's a yak.
Yak, yakety yak. Don't talk back. So
Rex just helped update my room.
yeah,
I
so.
can't really see your room. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
you
see.
can't. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Liz is at a little bit of disadvantage, guys, because she's looking at the back of my head right now, and
Really?
a big white light right now, right? So,
Liz, we'll send you pictures.
well, and you'll have to go watch the recording, right?
Max, I love your haircut in the back.
Oh yeah, you like that? Yeah.
he
So
does it himself.
yeah, and I'm talking to you, looking in here, so I'm really not like I know that that's kind of awkward, but I can see you and I'm talking to you, so I apologize. I know that that's a little awkward for you, but it looks great on our end, and it's gonna look even
Yeah.
better up when we
It
upload
really
it.
does. Thank you for being
Yeah.
here.
Sure.
Also, one of the reasons why we're doing this is because when we have a dual live on TikTok, when you have 1,000 followers, you're able to just show that up, right? So we kind of adapt on a wall monitor or a laptop or whatever when that's not the case. So she's joining us with Zoom. So there you go. But yeah, you'll be able to see the background. We was able to do some painting and change some things up. Nell spends a lot of her time here in her room, and she's deserving of all of it and more. So you're probably noticing that, but I'm glad we were able to, even if it was just last minute, have her join us, because most of the value that we get is when we're hearing from her, as you guys know,
No.
as well as the guests that we're having and things. So thanks for joining. And before we get too far into it, I want to just introduce you, Liz. We've known Liz for 10 plus years, 15 maybe
Liz,
years
how
almost.
Long? How long has it been?
I think like Xander's 17, so I want to say like 16 years.
Yeah,
or
because
something.
Xander was just a baby.
Yeah.
So this has been a dear friend for years.
A long
you
time.
guys.
Yeah, a long time.
And someone who honestly, let me just quickly, as someone who kind of dropped out of life for a lot of people, she's never ever not been there. She's been someone that has been solid, and someone we knew that we could call on, and you haven't given up, and that is it's a rarity for people that have kind of serious to severe chronic conditions. So
Yeah, for sure.
she's so special to our
She's
family.
watched our kids grow up.
Yeah.
We've been
And
over
vice
and had fun at
versa.
her
Yeah.
home. She's had some exciting things. She's recently got remarried and some exciting chapters and moved into a new home. And so we're just so happy for you, um,
Thank
and,
you.
and miss you so much. And she's also recently, aside from some of the other things that she's going to be talking about, just about herself, she's got an interesting twist. One of the reasons why I was really excited to have you on is that sometimes people that join us, they've got things like, whether that's maybe lupus, or maybe they've got a mental or emotional condition, or a suicide
Cystic
has happened.
fibrosis,
Yeah,
Ehlers-Danlos.
and
I
you've got a
mean,
condition that kind of is connected with COVID, but even before that, it's not like you've suffered, as far as I'm aware, with an ongoing chronic illness, and so you're able to really add a perspective. When we were on Good Things Utah, one of the comments that the host made is that you just never know when somebody around you, what they're going through, and and certainly you can kind of speak to that and expound upon that a little bit more, in that um, you have people in your life, even if it's just us, and you can share if you know others, and have relationships with others that deal with chronic pain. But it's not necessarily something that you are like, hey, I'm in the chronic pain community and I'm coming from this from an angle of I am glad to connect with others. You're kind of coming from, I know people that I love, and this is what.
but
Yeah,
without saying any details, Liz, I'll allow you to obviously expound on anything you feel
of course.
that you want. But um, this is a woman and mother that knows suffering, and she has become extremely strong through that. So
Yes.
so
No
you
stranger
guys
to
know
suffering,
that we
for
added
sure.
suffering for that purpose, so that we could connect as human beings, because that connects us, right? So
That's right.
besides that, she is a powerhouse. And Liz, I'll let you
Yeah.
expound on that. But she seriously is one amazing woman.
Yeah, so that's kind of our introduction without kind of stealing your thunder. Liz, take us back a little bit where you feel comfortable kind of introducing yourself, and kind of talk a little bit about how, what life was like with us, years ago, versus as you've kind of watched Nell's story, some things that have happened to you. You know, turn the time over to you.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's see. I don't know how far to go back. So I'm originally from Michigan, the Detroit area, and then I came out to Utah in 1989 to go to BYU, Brigham Young University, and I got into the film industry. I learned that it was a huge film state, and my sister's friend was doing extra work, and I was like, wait, what? And at that time it was on Drive Me Crazy, that movie. You remember that movie? And they had Touched by an Angel filming here.
Oh, yeah.
TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just a huge, film state at that time, in the late 90s. And I just got into extra work, and then I started working as an agent. And so I did extras casting for feature films, all the Disney ones that I could that came through town, and commercials, and just kind of got into the agent side of the film industry.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually I opened up my own business, and I ran that for 12 years as a talent agent and then a manager for actors, models, voiceover talent, and extras, and kind of just did that for quite a while. And then in 2016 I closed it down because I really wanted to focus on being a producer and having that more creative power.
Okay.
And just I love the idea of taking a concept, I love being an entrepreneur, so that the idea of, taking a concept and then working hard and putting the right people and the right events and the right circumstances together to, in some way, make an impact and have fun, right? And whether it is big or small, I just love that. So it's kind of fun because as a producer, now I'm able to work on commercials and just do some fun, different, like next week we're doing a shoot with a grizzly bear. It's going to be for a protein bar company that we work with the marketing agency that I work with. So it's for
Awesome.
Built Bar. If anyone is a Built Bar fan, they like Built Bars, that's what it's for. So I do all of their marketing and all their commercials. And it's going to be just super fun. We get to hang out with a huge grizzly bear named Honey Bum, and she's going to be jumping on an ATV and doing lots of fun things like digitally, like not really
Yeah.
digitally, but so it's going to be really fun because we're going to be able to do a lot of fun stuff. And hopefully I didn't just give away too much and my boss isn't mad.
No.
Oh, you're living the life.
But anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. We did a shoot with an owl a couple of weeks ago, and anyway, so I'm able to really just do some fun stuff here. But I also really would love to do more, kind of more serious things as well. And so I would love to do a feature or a documentary, and just I really want to be able to bring awareness to important causes like what you guys are, standing for, and just help people. Because there's so many people that just are suffering, like you said, in so many ways. It could be mental, physically, it could be emotional, it could be spiritually. I mean, we all go through so much. And so anyway, back to my bio real fast is that I'm a producer full time. I have 7 kids now with my new husband.
With the joint family.
I have two boys, and then he had 5, and so combined we have 7. We love living in Utah, and just love being a mom. But being a working mom definitely has its challenges. But it's really neat. And so that's kind of my background that way with work. And then also, of course, done marketing and sales for like other corporate jobs and stuff too.
I want to pause you there and give you a little kudos because, a lot of people, especially years ago, might not have thought of Utah as a place where that there was a market for that, or that, they'd have to go to California to really, get involved with that. And it's really changed quite a bit locally. And you were a big part of the pioneering effort with that. Of course, there's others. If you look into different producing agencies and things like that in Utah, you're going to find that that's a lot more mainstream in terms of what really people are able to have as an opportunity. But that wasn't always the case, even just 10 plus years ago. So that's something that I know that has always impressed me with the niche that you've had, is that you've really helped to lay that groundwork and added a lot of credibility to that industry here in Utah. So hats off to you.
We have a really great film community. So many talented people, actors, all the way to directors, crew. Just a lot of great people that are hardworking, and we love getting more films here. So, and you've done some acting, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, I try. No. Justin Utley. I grew up with Justin Utley. I was in a music video of his, and then UTA reached out to me, and I did some modeling shoots for some of their marketing. And
Nice.
he's a ham for it. He would do it. And the thing is he doesn't have any, there's no holds bar. He just goes in. He doesn't have a fear for any of it. That's something I admire. But, I'm waiting for my debut. I don't know when that's going to come, but, it's in the Lord's hands, and possibly Liz's. We don't know.
Yeah, Lee, Lee, it's a small world, and you might know some of these. Lee Liston is a small person that was invited also to the UTA shoots.
That's true. You may know of it.
And I developed friendship with him. He's actually going to be joining us
in December.
Later. But he was in a short film here in Utah called Luminaria. And the director was Kristen Jensen, and she has bipolar, and she was Miss Utah County. And so if you guys aren't following Lee Liston and Kristen Jensen,
amazing human
being. We're going to have them back, but I mentioned them in that, I joke with Kristen as we've kind of developed a friendship, let me just, lift a camera or something, let me be part, because she got an award for that short film. And with the Utah Film Festival and some other, or at least some other places that's involved with that industry. But she wants to do a full movie with it. So, and she does some acting, and been in different things. But anyway, I would love. I mean, I couldn't imagine just being even just an extra in something like that. So we'll see what
Rex
happens.
is volunteering himself. Liz, have you had the opportunity of going to Sundance?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I don't go every year or anything like that, but I have gone a few times, and it's interesting. I would love to go this year and just kind of from the producer standpoint.
Yeah.
So that would be fun. And I remember I promoted a movie there when I was in college as well.
Really?
And I actually used to represent Kristen Jensen when I had
Oh
an
my
agency.
gosh!
So I definitely know
Oh, you know her.
She's super talented.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
See that's a small world, and
Well, they're mingling in the same circle.
yeah. I saw, because those shoots that they did for UTA, they were going to do for marketing pieces, and then, who knows when they show up on things. And one day I saw my hand up on Facebook, holding the Uber-like app equivalent service that they have, and that was my debut right there.
Okay, so
Can I have your autograph?
I know we're a family that loves to pick at each other, laugh at each other, but when he uploaded that picture in the family group thread,
So proud.
we died. But because for a minute it was like, what are you showing us?
Yeah, I don't know how to take
And I
that,
was
because
like,
they
that's
did.
his hand?
They did shots of me in my nice leather jacket and some other things, and they chose the hand.
Shoot.
So I don't know if that's a bad sign or not. Yeah,
He has
I
some great hands, you guys.
You need to really pursue this hand modeling.
Yeah, so might just stick to helping people get started with their software. So But-
I forgot about that.
My son Grayson, he's in my little 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And he's been wanting me to stick him in something, like one of the commercials and so forth.
Yeah,
He
I saw
got
that.
his Champ last week.
Oh.
And he was just an extra. It was his first time, and it's for a Built Bar commercial as well.
Yeah.
And and it turns out that he's like barely in it. Like it's like the top of his
Yeah.
head. Like this.
Isn't that
So
funny how they
the
do that?
One version that we're gonna cut.
Yeah.
And then like you do see his hand, like the back of the bus, and his hand is waving.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's funny. That's gonna be.
So even her own son.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
I got much more footage. Go check it out. Justin Utley's American Nightmare.
Oh yeah.
It's a video on YouTube, and I play a part. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got more
He's a
screen
really
time.
mean guy in that one.
Yeah, go check it out.
Nice, I will, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Uh,
So, I mean, I have always wanted, like I said, to make something like a documentary or something really impactful, like a really story-driven, narrative film that
Yes.
really touches people. Because I feel like movies, TV shows, they really can reach you in such an impactful way.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Where if you have the right story and the right actors, and all those things are into place, that
Mhm.
it can be like therapy. Like you walk out of the theater and you are crying for an hour, and you realize all these things about your life and different ways that you need to see the world and the different perspectives that
Right.
that type of art can give you. Anyway, I just think
100%.
it'd be really neat, and I'd love to make a movie with you guys one day. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Hey, you never.
You know what?
never know.
Rex and I, so the next chapter of all of this, because there's a lot, Christine, she's the one that she's only got 20% lung capacity left.
Well,
And-
Christine Butterfly. Yeah, she was one that we had an
Yep,
interview.
and someone on the live, kind of was really connecting with her, and she's actively on hospice, and there was another level that hit me, and this has really grown as I've just really quick, you guys, is myself and Rex have really given this over to the Lord, and and completely, this is yours. You open the doors, what doors, when they need to be opened, and it kind of allows for a freedom, and then also some pretty hard-hitting, I think, spiritual moments. And after that live, I told Rex, as soon as possible, as soon as we have our foundation and we're starting to get some donations, and we need to start traveling to see and to hold and to, because so many of these sweet human beings won't be here much longer, and they are completely isolated. I am extremely fortunate that I have a large family in Rex's family, a large family myself. There's 9 kids in my family, and all of us live very close, and my parents are still alive, and beautiful neighbors and friends, and just very giving, and I still have an isolated life. So what I'm trying to say is take that 10 steps further, right? For somebody who does not have family around anymore, maybe their spouse left them because they couldn't take it. We've seen that happen. Where someone is literally so alone that they don't know how they're going to get their next meal, their medications. They don't know how they're going to get to the doctor. They don't know, and this is going on all over. And so Rex and I we just are so excited to see that day come, when we start, booking those flights to come and see one of you, and then see another, so that someone that understands your world is right there. But you know what, Liz, you're invited along. If when that happens, and if it works out, we wouldn't have anybody else if it was our choice. But you talk about kind of a documentary thing. Well, that's kind of our next plan after our creating our foundation, Spoonful of Sugar. So
yeah, I know that one thing that this experience has taught me, in moments where I maybe feel, oh well, no, that could never, we all have a tendency of doing that. I'm sure you could relate to that, as you were maybe considering years ago of starting your own business or whatever.
Human moments, just being a human.
And if you kind of just lean forward into just a possibility, and just also be okay with not being so connected to the outcome, it's so freeing. If it doesn't work out exactly as you envisioned it or how you dreamed it, or if this part of it didn't work out but this part did, whatever, just allow for it to just kind of take its natural course. And if you find yourself on a TV show or doing a film, or traveling and things like that, and it ended up working, then great. And then if it didn't in some ways, then that's okay too. And that's what I think you mean. We're just kind of letting it go and letting it to the Lord, right?
That's when it becomes beautiful.
Yeah.
My mom just asked me last week, so I was talking to her, and I was telling her about that. She said, but how are you, and just so everyone knows, I'm not sure if I've even talked about this. Like I said, we have amazing friends, amazing neighbors, amazing family. I have most of our family on both sides, and with our dear friend Julie, who is family to us, their family, they rarely see me anymore. And so for anybody that lives near us, or when I say there's nothing personal, it is not. It's unfortunate, because my body and my nerves, and it's complete chaos, and it screams the loudest, and it that gets the attention. But anyway, I was talking to my mom, and because of that, here, having a phone call sometimes is a rarity because having 3 tumors right there by my eye. Years ago, my doctor said, yeah, no more phone right there. Not even anywhere near. And then it also kind of takes the wind out of me. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense to people, but when I'm just the act of speaking or laughing, or because it's so connected, all those facial muscles connected to those nerves, creates pain for me. Usually crying is definitely 100% of the time. If I cry, it starts to flare up. But my mom said, as I was telling her, we need to go see them. We need to go see as many as we can. And she said, how? How are you possibly?
Yeah, if you're not able to.
And I just told her, that's not for me to worry about. That's in the Lord's hands. I just know He will provide a way. And I know that that's the next step.
Yeah, it could.
In all of this.
Yeah, kind of have some faith there, and that you go a period of time.
He's already moved mountains, really. So.
Yeah, what you're going through, even if it's chronic, and even if it's for a segment of several years, it doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. And that's when I think a lot of people feel like that they almost risk being in despair, is that they know it's chronic, they know it's something that's not just going to go away like in a month, like you're having
or ever.
But it also doesn't mean that there can't be improvement. It doesn't mean that is a for sure sentence on
never lose hope.
The way the quality of life is going to pan out, right? You still may be able to be more mobile. You might be able to redefine what your quality of life is, and that's what I think kind of Nell's saying.
If you have, okay. So with Christine, we were talking to her, and she was saying they have declined her, and she's no longer a candidate for lung transplant, and that broke our hearts.
Yeah.
And those are the moments where you wish that you had more power as a human being to change things.
And there's allies like Teach0519 is in here, and she's on, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Chad has like 2.5 million followers with him and Mia, and she's got cancer. You talk about cancer and what,
right. And yes, if you have a diagnosis where it is more serious, really quick before you go on, because you guys, I do forget things quite a bit, because I also have this nice little cluster of veins in my left temporal lobe that like to bleed out sometimes, and I think that's kind of, that's right.
Here's a station you might like.
Alexa,
Nectar
we're
Radio.
not interested. Thank you. Excuse her, how rude.
Here's a station you might like. Nectar Radio.
Alexa,
on Amazon
stop.
Music.
We got a uninvited guest here.
Anyway.
But your memory,
that's right,
your memory, that's one of the
yeah.
reasons why sometimes we got to stop what we're talking about, because
Yeah,
she'll just forget what she's talking about, so.
Oh, my point was the one thing that we all of us, besides suffering, we all know suffering of some kind. Liz did a beautiful job listing, even spiritual, and spiritual can be some of the most gut-wrenching, right up there with mental. So, we all, it's very much an inclusive thing, unfortunately, but the same goes for we all have every right and every chance to experience peace and joy. It doesn't matter what's going on, doesn't matter, how much in the depths you are with your suffering, or with just life in general. That is
Yeah.
what Spoonful of Sugar is about, and we say this every time, and I will repeat it every time, because number one, there's new people coming in, and number two, it's worth repeating. You know, as a spoonie, that's why, you know, it's on my ring. I decided, you know what, I can serve. And if it's as little as what I decided to do was, because I even read a book, I forget who it was by, and I had my whole family read it, because it was in a time where I think people were wondering, I'm sure they wondered, you know, how much of this is real suffering and how much of it is her choice, and how much of it does she really have control over, and how much of it is she just doesn't want to, you know, or she wants maybe to even hide behind it. And I'm not pointing just at my family, but everybody. But my family, I asked to read it, specifically my siblings, my parents, so that they understood me more. And the title basically was, basically, I have chronic pain, Lord. How then can I serve? How am I any good to you anymore? And it's a beautiful book. I will find the exact title and author.
Yeah, it challenges the mindset of what people consider service.
It absolutely did. And that's where it real quick, as I decided every day, if someone was, because we all go through the day and someone's kind of stuck in your mind. And it may be a few people, and it may just be one specific person. But that's kind of where it shifted, and I decided never would I ignore that spirit saying, you know, if I'm thinking of someone, I really make it a point, whether I'm in pain or not, to reach out in ways that I'm able to. And sometimes it will be, you know, Rex, can you grab some flowers on your way home? And he helps so much in delivering things that I couldn't do myself. But regardless, you guys, we can serve the rest of our days. There's service that can be, you know, and for those of you who think, well, I'm even worse off, or how does somebody even unconscious serve, right? Well, that's then in the Lord's hands, and believe me, they are serving in ways that are just magnificent, whether that's a nurse that was affected by the care of them, or there's spots in where the Lord steps in and says, you know, this is where I take over, and I've had those moments, but whenever I humanly possibly can, I'm doing what I can. But service, joy, and peace, true joy, deep joy, that is all ours. That is all ours. And that is how we balance that suffering. But before we get deeper into this, and Liz, I apologize because we can get talking, you know, about a lot of this, and kind of time for whatever way, and I am really interested, and you don't have to start talking about it now, but you are the first one. I've heard a lot of stories the past year and a half, just over a year, about how COVID has changed the lives of quite a few people, but you are the first one that we have had on. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit of how that's affected your life.
And I mean, Nell's talking about all these different servants. The person that I was talking about that has association with the Chad, she serves, correct me if I'm wrong, but she's on the planning committee, and she's
for the Chad.
Yeah, and so she's part of.
And you guys, if you don't know the Chad and his sweet, sweet little girl Mia that has cancer, Look him up.
Yeah. He's genuine.
Talk about
great
a
father. And they plan
beautiful,
events where they go out to
family.
hospitals and things and do some things in person. So that's an example of service, like Nell's saying. You talk about a good tie-in with the COVID, all the people serving that are helping all the people suffering in hospitals and then outpatient stuff like that. So whatever capacity, like Nell's saying, that you're a part, if you are falling in love with the chronic pain community and any and suffering in any way, just know that there's always an inclusion, right? And that's what we love, is that they're just people talking about sensitive, not really sensitive issues, but things that have in the past been uncomfortable for a lot of people to talk about. And
that is a part of it. We want to break down anything that is preventing someone from feeling like they can be authentic and open and
really.
Even some symptoms I see people kind of hesitate to say, these are kind of the symptoms. I don't really want to talk about it because it'll come across bodily function. Or
like that's a weakness or something
anymore?
Or whatever. Yeah.
So we're trying to break down all of those ridiculous. We have a long way to go as human beings and accepting each other and letting each other express our truth and what that looks like. But at the same time, there's such a beauty and a freedom that we're seeing people embrace in letting that out there and saying, hey, I'm hurting and this is how I'm hurting. And it may look ugly, or even you may not understand it. It may not be pretty. It may not, but guess what? That's my life. And welcome to it. And Rex and I certainly welcome any and all. But
so Liz,
as so many of you do, that come on here, and you're beautiful, beautiful people. But yeah, Liz, I'll let you go as far as you want to go, but I know enough about Liz to know she knows a lot about
maybe
suffering in different ways.
Maybe talk a little bit about kind of some of the experiences where you were more on the outside, but you had people in your life that was more of that, and then how that maybe kind of changed a little bit for you with what you have had to start going through, with COVID. So, I mean, that's information that would even be new for me. So, I mean, however you want to...
Well, and even prior to COVID.
Yeah, however you want to tie in that as we kind of talk about how you've got, a connection and, a place in your heart for others that are, listening to this, and, you're another person that they're hearing is sharing a story. What would you say has been your experience, kind of outside, inside, and how that kind of played out for you?
I'd love to talk about that. I thought that's one reason why I really did want to come on, was just because I think my perspective has shifted with my own life trials and health issues over the years. And I mean, it's interesting because when I was a little girl, one of my best friends, she had chronic fatigue syndrome. And I remember I think I was probably 8 or something when we first started becoming friends. We were friends for a while, and until she moved away when I was older. But it's so interesting because as a child, I was really confused by chronic fatigue syndrome, because I was like, I don't get it. Like, when I go to her house, I play with her, she's fine. She's like me. We run around, we do stuff. She had a special diet, I remember that. Her mom wouldn't have her eat certain things that I think were making her inflamed and things like that. And I just remember that, and I remember thinking, it was interesting because I remember asking her about it, and she was trying to describe it to me, and she just, because I was like, I play with her, but then I don't hear from her for a week or
Yeah.
2 weeks sometimes. And so we would have these really infrequent play dates, and I didn't really understand it other than she said that after I play and we do stuff together, she's like, I just am in my bed for like 3 days at least.
Yeah.
And she's like, all my muscles hurt, and she's like, I can barely lift my arm off my bed. And I was like, oh my goodness, like it's so like from the outside perspective, people who don't know what chronic pain and illness and that world looks like, it is really hard, I think, for people to understand if they don't know the backstory. They don't know after you hang out and you're laughing and you're having fun and you're doing things, then what is behind that? Like what happens for 3 weeks later?
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I remember that kind of set the stage for me because I was like, okay, and it made me think about that. And then I've had, my dad passed away of cancer when I was 9, and so I watched him pass away and die slowly over about 3 years, 2.5
I
years.
am truly sorry.
And then my grandma also died of cancer about 8 months apart from him, and she lived with us, and so I was able to kind of help take care of them and kind of see from that perspective of, chronic pain and illness and as a child, and then of course different life experiences throughout my family life and things like that. But so it was interesting. And then as an adult, I had another friend who had fibromyalgia, and I didn't really quite understand all of it either. And I remember asking her about that, and just still not getting it. Like I wanted so badly to understand, and I ask a lot of questions. I love learning about people, but I just still couldn't understand it. And it's just like, I don't know, anything else where until you are in that, you are actually that person, you really can't understand everything. But what you can do as someone from the outside is at least honor the person's wishes, whoever is that chronic pain survivor. I don't know what you guys want.
Warrior, whatever,
Yeah, whoever the spoonie is in your life, or whoever the person is that only has so much energy, that just to support them in that, and just to like realize that, you know what, like it's okay if you're disappointed sometimes. It's okay. It's okay because they are doing the best that they can, and it's just it was really interesting. So then I had another friend who in Eagle Mountain, who was a mom and of 3 girls, and she still has so many different chronic pain things, and actually I wanted to connect her with you, so I'm going to actually reach out to her and tell her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to her.
Yeah, she's just such an awesome person, and she believes in God, and she was always like more positive, and I just remember she lived across the street from me. And I was just like amazed because she's like, well, God willing, if I get better, I get better. If I don't, I don't. And, and she just, and it was just such a testimony to me of someone who, like, no matter what, you have that faith that this is your journey. And it is okay. It's okay that, you're in a wheelchair right now. It's okay that you couldn't go to the store with your daughter and pick out the prom dress or whatever it was that she missed out on it, but she was able to find joy in so many ways that I personally would have been like, ugh, like my viewpoint, I was like, man, and I kept telling her, I'm like, I want to fix you, I want to heal you. Like, I kept researching, and I was trying because I'm a researcher and I love to solve problems. And so I was like, have you tried this, or how can I help you? And she's like, she was like, yeah, that's a good idea. But she's just kind of was like, I've been to a bazillion doctors, and, and she's like, I'm making progress in some areas, and in other areas I'm kind of sliding back. And she was grateful for, the association with me, and I was able to laugh with her and joke with her, and when she felt up to it. There were times where I wanted to hang out in person, and she just was like, I just can't. I just can't. But she talked on the phone with me for about 5 minutes, and so she gave what she could. and I just saw how amazing her daughters were and her husband. That they were just so loving and just generous and serving in so many neat ways. Where I was like, oh my goodness, like yes, this is a really hard life to have, especially as a mom. But I was like, look at what they're all learning. Like they're learning. Her kids learned way more about being self-sacrificing and loving and service than my kids have learned. And I just thought, what a huge blessing that is.
Yeah.
So just anyway, I have so many other thoughts, but
no, that is incredible insight.
I love that you brought her up because there's so many yes, as far as, you know, I don't even know her, but there's obviously a very deep connection.
Yeah, really.
And our kids as well, growing up, Mason and Abby have said I there's very few memories for them where they didn't know or where they had me as a mom without pain. They can't remember, and they learned very young. Their little hands, it would take two of them, so it'd be Mason and Abby, you know, before, because Ellen started having babysitting jobs and then working at, you know, so she was gone more, but their little hands, it would take two of them to put on my head, and they would do counter pressure for me. And that is exactly what they've all grown to be, is extremely compassionate. Abby is her heart is set on being a paramedic, and that's part of why. She kind of just settled into that role of compassion and knowing when someone's suffering. She knows how to very quietly be there and settle that chaoticness around that event down. And so she just kind of, she's, you know, very, very, very much
just deep intuition.
Yes, but all three of them,
you just sense.
The point is we receive so many different blessings to not just help us get through it, but to help us understand with a wider scope, and maybe even a magnifying glass that others that are kind of going about their day quicker, and you know, where, like, I can, in bed when I'm in pain, I look at the same things over and over and over. But then what happens is I notice little details, and then it goes further, and it's like, oh my word, that's a miracle, and wow, that came from that source, and wow, I wonder who actually made that. And then, you know what I mean? It goes and goes and goes, and it will endlessly go as far as you allow. Heavenly Father will bless you beyond, to the point to where I am so entirely grateful for my struggles, because it has put me through refiner's fire that I don't know. It almost scares me to think of who would I have become
without
had
it.
I not had this to really keep me in check and learn new lessons that life often can't teach you. And my walk with my Heavenly Father and Savior has been a very sacred one. Rex will attest to this. I don't question them often at all. I just tell him, look, I'll figure out the whys when he's ready, and you know, let's get through another flare up, and let's go through another day, and let's see what we can do and accomplish with it being a part of our life. But I wouldn't I honestly can say two things. I would never wish my worst pain. And ironically, so it's been pretty severe for, we're guessing 8 years now. Severe to the point where doctors are they're just really trying to keep me comfortable and pretty much out of options. See, this will happen. You guys, you'll get used to it. Don't worry. I'll be talking, then I don't even know what I'm talking about. But yeah. So it's been a solid 8 years, really, since the second tumor. The second tumor really shifted things, and then the third tumor, that's what really brought on CRPS. And for anybody that doesn't understand CRPS, it's, we're talking about something that's called the suicide disease. So originally, it that was sobering. But yeah, doctors don't quite know what to do, because even in the CRPS world, they haven't seen some of the things or it as extreme as I have it, and they certainly haven't seen it in the face. And so they're still learning. And then also with my tumor, to have a third tumor of this type is extremely, extremely rare. The tumor itself is rare, but having it come back 3 times, again, they're now in a learning phase and watching and trying to learn about it through me. But yeah, I was going to say there's 2 things. I would never, so I had my worst, absolute worst, and I already had a pretty healthy fear of what my body can do. Mm-hmm. When it's out of control. And it's topped itself several times, meaning the pain has, I thought this is it, right? And then it's topped itself. And it's topped itself. And just a week and a half ago, it was 8 straight hours of pain that I was sure was going to kill me. I said my goodbyes to Rex and made sure I knew how much he loved me, or that I loved him, and it was hard to catch a breath. It was hard. My heart was racing and beating so hard that my things start to go white, so I can't see clearly. My limbs are all ice cold, and if you know anything about CRPS, we are anything but cold, we burn up. So when Rex was taking my hands, he's actually trying to warm them up. But my heart was working so hard around all those nerves. The nerves get so bad, and they trigger one after another in the face and head. And it was so bad I couldn't even let my tongue touch my teeth. And it's all your teeth. So if you had a toothache, one tooth, imagine all those nerves going off at once. And this was 8 hours straight. I was in the tub, I was in the bathroom, I was on the bed, I knelt down, I laid down. Because there's no place you try to find anything. There's no place you can go, there's no place you can escape. And at one point I yelled out, as hard as I could, which I think it was like hour 6. I just was like, this is even cruel. This is cruel. But I told Rex I would not wish this on Hitler himself. And I mean that with my whole heart. I would not wish that type of suffering. But then as soon as I used the word cruel, and I was telling Rex, and it took a lot to even talk because I couldn't get my air, and he always tells me slow your breathing, but I have to explain to him as I'm trying to breathe I can't, because taking a deep breath hurts. Everything hurts. And everything just triggers one thing after another. And another thing that people may not know about me is my adrenals have completely failed after my second tumor removal. Zeroed out. My endocrinologist had never seen it that bad. Just was not producing life-sustaining chemicals. So my heart, blood pressure, all of it was dropping. And had they sent me home, they said I would not have woken up for sure the next morning. But what was supposed to be same-day surgery turned into a week of them trying to, give me life-saving steroids, and they absolutely saved my life. But the thing is once your adrenals fail completely, then you are at a higher risk of those adrenals being fatigued and then spiking. And so that spike happens when I'm in these flare-ups so it gets really scary for me. And so when I use the word cruel, and I even had Rex look it up, I was like, just because there's some words that it's almost like there's no words to describe when you're in that much, when your body's in that much disarray and confusion and anger, but it was just as quick after I yelled out God's name. This answer came, and it wasn't the pain didn't stop, and it wasn't the big revelation to me was I now understand even further. So if it makes me
that you understand, it was
yes,
trying to
he
prompt you
that
that your compassion, your
yes,
understanding even went deeper.
It went
in terms
deeper, and it was interesting because it was after we talked to Christine and how hard it is for her to get her air, even with oxygen. And I was really struggling to breathe. I was struggling with temperature. I was struggling with my heart. It hurt. My chest literally hurts, and it was, you now know even more. And so then it became this sort of a gift. And and when I'm in these bad of flare-ups, and luckily these ones don't happen extremely often, but when it gets this bad, it takes hours for my body will convulse for hours, even in my sleep. And sometimes the family takes shifts on staying with me. But even in my deepest hour of pain, my type of, because we all kind of have our moments of where, like this might be my Gethsemane, this might be my, like I'm pretty sure I can't take another minute of whatever I'm going through, whether it be mental, spiritual, physical, whatever. Rex asked me kind of after it was calming down, he said, what would you compare that to? I had to compare that to combine three of the worst experiences of my life to make it equal to that day a week and a half ago. And so my body talked itself again. I have a new healthy fear for what it is capable of.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But more importantly, I have a deeper compassion. And I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't.
And it's like with Liz talking about gaining
Yes.
a knowledge and
Yes.
an understanding gradually with their friend and things like that. What's some of the things that you started going through, if not the COVID? What would you say? Did you start feeling like, wow, I'm starting to experience? But by the way, Butterfly Christine's here. She said, "I'm so
Aw,
sorry, Nell.
my
We
sweet
we were
lady.
talking we were talking about you earlier, girl. You'll have to go back and check it out. But Liz, talk to us about how you started experiencing some of anything that caused for you to start gaining even that more understanding and compassion for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of rewind real fast. I wanted to talk about my being the outsider as far as the friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted to finish that up because I think it is really important for those of us who are the friends of or family members,
Yep.
but who you don't live with, right?
Yeah.
And I just, I have had thoughts because like I have totally wanted to hang out with you now.
I know. Yeah.
I really wanted to. I almost feel like I've pathetically asked. I feel like at this point because I've been like, hey, can I stop by and like,
Yeah.
can I bring you
No.
something, or and
No, never feel that way ever.
and then I guess I'm a little persistent, but I love both of you, and I miss you. I mean,
Yeah.
I really do, and we had such a connection when we lived in the same
Yeah, we
neighborhood.
did. We do.
I just like, you guys are such awesome people, and I just love your sense of humor and your compassion and
You guys,
just,
we did.
Oh, we
did
love you
click.
too.
We do have the same sense of humor, so we absolutely adore each other,
Yeah, we had good
and that's
times.
never changed.
Yeah.
So I've had moments where I've been like, oh my goodness, no, just let me see you.
Let me just come over.
Yeah, a lot of people have. You're not the only one.
And sure I'm not. And I thought of like, should I just like stop by? I'm like, no, that's not respectful. I should not just stop by. And I just
Knock, knock. I'm here. Right.
And all of a sudden I turned into like a stalker. I just was like, oh my goodness, because I wanted to help, but I didn't know how to help.
Yeah.
And I should have helped. I should have brought over dinner. I should have done so many things. I really should have. But at the time, I just felt like, I don't know, like the way that, it's interesting because the way that sometimes we want to help is not the
There
way
you
that
go.
we should help.
Or
in
that
that
you,
circumstance.
or you think that in your mind you're thinking that would help, but you don't know, you're not quite sure of
Yeah,
whether
and
that's
please,
something that they would think is helpful.
Please, anybody that's watching or that will be watching in the future, but to Liz especially, I don't ever want anyone to compare or to think I don't have that, and I should have been doing this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
You had your life happening, and you had a lot of changes happening, and so on my side, I felt so similar to you. Like if there's a person that would be, right here, loud in my bed next to me, or Liz would be one of them. Just because there is an ease with our relationship, and there is a special bond, but you were going through it too, and don't minimize or diminish that ever.
Yeah, really. It's true.
Yeah, I don't know, I wish, it's just so hard because when you're in the outside perspective, like,
Yeah.
you just feel like you're not a doctor, you can't help that way, you are Jesus,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't, heal you,
Yeah.
like, you're trying, but you're like, I don't know what to do, and so the only thing I could do was just, like, say something on Facebook, or text, or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like that, and I do think there's definitely value in that.
Yeah, it is huge.
And I wanted to tell you now that you were talking about how the ways that you found that you could serve, and sometimes it was that, where on Facebook you would comment on something that I would say,
Yeah.
and it was always like so neat because I remember being touched by that, thinking, wow, here's Nell. I know, like, from the Facebook posts, and I see what's been happening in her life just on, and only like probably 20%. I mean, I'm sure it's way worse behind the scenes, but what I knew about, and I just thought, here she is taking the time and the energy to type out this paragraph comment to me.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me, and that really kind of gave me, like, in some, really kind of, we all have our self-pity moments or those moments where we're having a hard time. And that gave me that strength. And I thought, oh my gosh, here's Nell. She's got way worse things happening right now. And she's able to be a light to me right now.
Oh,
and
that's
it
awesome.
kind of made me think, I need to be that light to other people more. And even if I can't bring over dinner, or I can't, watch the kids, or I can't heal that person in every single way that they need, but there are certain ways where even just typing out a comment on Facebook, it means so much more, or messaging someone, text messaging, or there's just little things like that you've been talking about, and I just really want to reiterate that, just the importance of that, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Let me go further and say about you reaching out and wanting to come over. That was not an irritant in the least. That was completely touching.
Yeah.
And for somebody to continue to make that effort and say, I really, really want to see you and I want to visit you. That's what I meant in the beginning. That this is someone who has just been there. So you doing that was service and is very much still a blessing, and the reason why I know and knew all along that if there was, there's certain people that that if we needed a call on someone, those, there's a few people that just, would just
to be there for you, for sure.
And you were that person. And so don't ever, just in your mind, flip it completely around and know how much of a blessing you've been because of your reaching out.
And being the kind of person, we didn't know whether or not you'd be able to be here live with us, or how we would have to adapt it and things like that. And just knowing that you're the kind of person that it didn't matter what the outcome or the decision is, it's okay. Not everybody has that.
You're more rare than you think.
Yeah, not everybody has, and I don't say that in the sense of like people be jealous of us or whatever, but in the sense of that there needs to be more people in people's lives where they feel like that they can say, no, that's not going to work, but this will, or whatever, and not worry about whether that's going to cause a family issue of some kind, or a friend issue.
Well, look at what you're doing right now. Giving a really, really important perspective. And this is the first
out of the people that we've interviewed. This has been
this is one of the reasons that we're on here doing this, so that bridge can be built, and there's an understanding between the chronic pain community, because there is not a lot said or done, or fundraisers, or over the chronic pain community, which is larger than cancer and diabetes combined. And there's so many different illnesses that none of us have heard about.
Yeah.
And we want to create that bridge so that there's less frustration, there's more ideas of connecting, and so the conversations are happening, and this so that both sides feel equally loved and important. And
each of these conversations, these interviews have just been so unique. It is so opposite of cookie cutter.
100% the Lord's work.
It is.
100%.
It is. That adds an element of abundance that other interview didn't even get the time to get into, right? And that adds this, and so it's just been a joy to be able to just see
and thank you
how
for
it all
saying,
comes together.
Let me go back and finish that.
Yes.
Because that is
an important
part. My word, it is so critical, because so many people get to a point where they're like, you know what? If you're not going to have me over, and I can't tell you how many people have just said, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
And they've even said, if you're not going to do this, or this with me or for me, then we don't vibe.
Well, and this is an
and that broke my heart, because I, to all of them, have said, but I want a relationship. This is just how I can do it. And I, real quick, I was talking to my mom, and she always is concerned that I know how much my mom and dad love me and how deeply they are in prayer for me every day. And I know that they've shed a lot of tears and really pleaded with Heavenly Father. And, our last conversation was such a precious one, because, it's a lot of, Mom, I want you to know that I know and I feel it, and I know that you've been there, and I know that there's been confusion and frustration, and so often I don't even have the answers. And I'm traveling this path, and I'm falling down, and I'm exhausted. Time, for me, escapes so often. There are days where I don't know what day it is. There are times where I wake up and I'm wondering why it's nighttime, and it's just because when you have something that screams, which is the only thing I can really say as far as my nerves, and it demands your attention, and then you reach a point of exhaustion. Well, of course, I can't tell you how many times I've literally, the only way I get sleep is out of sheer exhaustion. And I don't escape the pain. That continues on in my sleep, which is a tough thing in itself. But yeah, time escapes me. Which is why it's so important when I have someone's name on my mind or in my heart, or if they come across and I'm like, oh my word, I haven't seen so-and-so come across my Facebook page for a while, or these are the reasons I stop. Because if I'm not aware a lot of times of what day, what time, or my eye is throbbing so bad and the nerves around it that I'm not able to even pick up and look at something. But with my mom even. So, okay, my parents, and who know the most about me, other than Rex, Julie, and the kids, there's still questions. And even Rex, just a few months ago, said, hey, what is it like for you?
Yeah, it's helping us have conversations.
They even still have questions. And and I still am figuring myself out, and I'm trying to, and things change, things can get worse, some start to seem to get better, and then they come back, and so it's all...
Yes, it shows the example of, here's a close friend that we've known.
Yes.
It's giving a little bit of an example how we're still acknowledging that we're trying to understand how to have these conversations.
Yes.
I've been married to Nell 25 plus years.
Almost 26 years.
And we're learning how to.
He's still learning about me.
And so it's a very sobering concept to put out there, that it's way easier said than done to have a sit down with people that are even close to you and to have a conversation where the outcome is a constructive one, and it can even be pleasant among the pain, and you go away feeling inspired, and you feel a greater sense of compassion and things like that. And it's, I don't care how long you have been living with chronic pain, I know that I could say that this is something that they're still trying to, with the people that are close in their life, they're still trying to make progress in that area
Yeah.
to get to better places within themselves and then with their relationships.
But like Liz was saying, I think one of the best things that could happen is on both sides, because for those of you who are sticking around in any capacity with someone that has a chronic condition that has kind of taken them out of life, in a lot of ways, you are magnificent, you are special, and you are noticed, not just by that person, but by whatever higher power you guys believe in. But just know on the chronic side, there's 100 different reasons why they may not be responding, or not be able to see you, or not be,
And that's a start. Just knowing that,
just
like you said, it's a start to know that, hey, it's the beginning seeds of being like, wait a minute, that challenging moment of, is that what is the best way to kind of connect with it, or whatever, right? And that's where it starts. It's just that, not challenging in the sense of it needing to be a critical thing, but challenging in the sense of just growth, right? None of us can make constructive changes and be better for ourselves and for each other unless we have those moments where we're non-defensively being open to something different. And that's what it's about, right? It's just exploring that and discovering.
And these type of conversations are why I keep bothering Rex and saying we need to do 2 a week, not 1 a week.
Yeah, she wants to do more.
It will be a 3 week, and then we need to start. You know what I mean?
Easy does it.
Because it is that important. And when you do start talking to people on the flip side, and the ones that are suffering and isolated, you'll see why I want to keep going. These are incredible human beings.
Yeah, I've even had to put a little bit of a stop. I had an email come in today of somebody that wants to join, but I've had to kind of put a little bit of a stop of booking because it's out into March, or so. It's like, okay, calm down a little bit, and we'll, because we don't want to schedule them out too far. But
far past
there's an abundant amount of people that
they want to be heard. They want to be they want to be heard,
and rightfully so, and we can't wait for it. So now, as we, Liz, we have all this building up into some conditions that you specifically have gone through.
I know you love how I put you on the spot there. What do you
I know
have,
people have been hearing the drum roll, and this has been great. Great kind of context, and we love hearing from Nell when she just has it flowing like that, because we don't always get that. But
in other words, he's like, no, shut up.
No, what
I'm kidding.
What have you been going through that's
a lot. Well, so I back in January 2nd, I got the COVID.
Okay.
I haven't heard of this virus.
You might. If you haven't heard of this, where you've been,
you might have heard of it.
Pain.
But January 2nd, and so it's been almost 6 months almost, and I still have issues. So, and when I was in college, I did actually get shingles, which is the it's the chickenpox thing that when
it's
your immune
horrid.
system is lower. It kind of, anyway, so I did kind of experience like a mini COVID almost when I was for a few months, but it was nowhere near what I just experienced the last 6 months.
Really? You would, so you're saying, let's just stop for a minute, because I've had a little bout with shingles too. Are you saying that COVID way outdid that?
For me, and it's
wow.
so different for everyone. Yeah.
Wow.
So for me, it was worse. And
please help me.
It was, and at first I was like, oh, this is not so bad. What are people talking about? I'm fine. I'm just going to watch some, Grey's Anatomy reruns.
Yeah.
But no, I kind which I am grateful for.
Oh,
Because
yes.
what a comfort. So,
But you talked
I
about
mean,
some.
it
You
cooks really well, so it was one of the few things that I could look forward to.
But did you lose your smell?
I did, yeah. I have it back now. But I did lose my smell for about, it was just like a month. But
Wow.
it was weird though. It's kind of a weird thing, you know, losing, and you probably understand, and anyone who's had a lot of, you know, illness or injury, I mean, losing something that
Yes.
had your life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you start realizing, oh my goodness, like I can't smell if the stove is, you know, like
Yeah.
burning.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
Or it's kind of dangerous, actually.
Yep,
you know,
it is.
I don't smell gas, like, you know.
Yep.
So there's
Yeah,
certain
like our
things
friend,
like
you
for
know.
smoke or.
You come
But
back for a minute.
anyway, so I kind of, it was humbling, very humbling, to have just all these new horrible surprises all the time. I had so much inflammation that one of my
Just letting all
family
of
had
us
a crown on my back too, and I was eating fruity pebbles of all types. No, fruity pebbles.
Yeah.
I was eating fruity pebbles, and my tooth just breaks and falls apart.
What?
And it was like, what is that? Wow, why is this fruity pebble so hard? No, that was my tooth that I was chomping on for a second.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I looked
That's
it
one of
up,
my
and
nightmares. That's one of my fear. You just wake.
apparently
serious?
It's actually a thing with COVID where people have teeth problems too, and where it's the inflammation is systemic, so every system in your body is affected. And so my oral health was affected too. I was kind of surprised by that. But yeah, digestive issues just out of nowhere, you know, I never really had a lot of nausea. I didn't have that, but I had stomach aches and just, you know, all the fun digestive problems that people have. And I, wait, did you just turn off?
Sorry, Nell's doing potty break stuff there, so.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna blow my nose.
I thought you were bored of my COVID symptoms.
No.
No, are you kidding? No.
We're just giving. It's just a privacy capture there. Cover there.
Sorry to call
No, continue
Sorry,
on.
sorry.
I didn't want to blow my nose on her.
Yeah, go ahead.
But anyway, I mean, I had indigestion, I had just depression issues and anxiety here and there, where you know, you have like the normal anxiety that I think anyone would have if you know, wow, my whole life has changed. And
Yeah.
just anyone who even went through this last time period for the last year or so of just living in the COVID world, you know, with things shut down and just being isolated more, that in and of itself is hard for people. But then when you have COVID and then all you see on the news are people dying and they make it this like huge horrible thing constantly, you know, I wish they would have shown more success stories, and I wish they would have given people more hope, you know, and I wish the mainstream doctors would have been more educated and helpful. I mean, my primary care physician, great guy, and I love him for so many things, but he didn't really keep up on the research with COVID and long COVID, and he didn't really give me much help at all.
What's long COVID? That's
So long COVID is what I have. So long COVID, I'm not sure the exact definition, but I know that I think I read somewhere on the CDC website or something that it's if you've had COVID for longer than 3 weeks, I want to say, like 3 to 4 weeks, then, and if you still have those symptoms, and even if it's just 1 or 2 symptoms, but if you still have that, then you are considered a long COVID.
Yeah, I read an article on that.
Yeah. So I had trouble breathing and I still have that problem. That's actually probably the worst problem of everything. Where you just feel like you just never get enough air. And you know what it's like now, and I'm sure a lot of your viewers.
Well, I do now. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, you guys, if I can just pause this for a second, Butterfly Christine says she had to go to the ER because they wouldn't bring her new oxygen machine. I mean, this is someone you talk about someone with lung issues, right? Because that's what COVID is about. You know.
Yeah. So Liz, this is who we were.
Butterfly Christine is her username. Go check out her video on the website.
Like she.
But she is someone that can definitely, you know, empathize in ways that
breathing,
I couldn't even comprehend that it has to do with breathing and lungs, for sure. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I think I actually did watch a little bit of your interview with her, but
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to watch the full one. So I think it was just really hard. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I can't, it's like we all go through hard things, but it was one of those things where it was a little bit different because even like the main doctors, you know, and worldwide didn't know what to do and don't know what to do still.
Yeah.
And so there's this uncertainty, like you were saying now, like your doctors are like, wow, let's study you because I don't even know what's happening. So
Yeah.
it was really interesting that, and kind of scary to me and sad to me that, I mean, I researched online and I thankfully was able to find some really awesome people who had long COVID, who some were doctors, who, of course, they were the most empathetic because they were suffering. I mean, these were like people that are marathon runners and cyclists and living life and super healthy, and then they get COVID, and they have it a year later.
Yep.
I mean, there are some really long experiences with this, and they luckily are posting about it, and they are researching, they're doing their own studies because, I mean, I love the government, different ways and different, you know, they're trying, but it takes everyone to really help kind of get more information out there and to just share their experiences. And so I love that YouTube is able to give me knowledge and comfort from other long COVID sufferers because, I mean, the doctors haven't been so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've
the article, well, it wasn't even an article because now I'm realizing it was a nurse she was interviewed and she wanted to be, because she wanted to talk about her story. She had long COVID, like you're explaining, and she got COVID early on. And so by the time she's interviewed, you know, we were talking 9 months, 10 months later, and she said her world had changed enough to where she's now struggling to get up to meet her shifts. She's struggling to be a mom to her little boy. It just took the entire wind out of her.
Yeah, she said, Butterfly Christine says, try walking around a mile breathing through a straw. That's almost how it feels.
Yeah,
I do not know that type of, I don't know, you guys. And I haven't had COVID, and
her heart goes out to you.
Yeah,
because she can.
I'm so sorry.
She's just she's heartbroken. She says, let her know that my heart goes out to her, please. Yeah.
Thank you. It was really interesting, just the course that this COVID has run on my body in different ways, where like you think like, hey, I'm getting better, and then whoa, you're not. You're down for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And you can barely get out of bed. And so I still have the fatigue here and there, but it's nowhere near where it was. So I would say about the 4.5 month mark. So probably for the last month, I've been feeling a lot better. Where I mean, I was able to, because I researched on YouTube, and there's some really great doctors, like I said, that have just been posting about different things. I just kind of figured out, you know, kind of spliced things together. I had friends that I kind of got to the point where I accepted the fact that, wow, I'm a long COVID person. Like, it's kind of like you have to just go with that first step where you're like, I guess I'm a chronic illness person now.
Yeah. And on top of that, let me be the person one of the people that is first, you know, getting this and can talk about it. People are learning more and more about COVID, and absolutely it's serious and what's happening with their family and friends and loved ones. Long COVID, I'm sure that if you just threw that out there to a lot of people, they'd be like, what's that? I mean, you know, here we are learning. And I'm sure you have those moments where you're like, I didn't sign up for that to be somebody that people learn from. I don't want to help lead this, you know?
It's been really interesting. You know, I was suffering in silence for about 4.5 months or whatever it was when I went on Facebook and I said, okay, like, I am hurting, I am in pain with different muscle pain, I can't breathe every day, I'm on 2 inhalers. I take medicine all day long. I take supplements all day long just to get through the day.
Yeah.
I'm dead after I had no energy after even taking a shower.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that even bending down to pick up, a pen that I dropped was like, oh my
Causes
gosh.
you to be winded.
And I couldn't believe and I literally, even though I have a hard time sometimes having conversations because I can't breathe. Like I was just, I'm just standing there and just talking to someone on the phone. And I have to pause and be like, hang on.
Yeah.
And I never had asthma in my life. I've never been on an inhaler. I played sports my whole life. I've never had a hard time breathing, really at all, other than just the normal when you're running or something. But, so this has been definitely something that is very humbling.
Oh, this smacked you sideways. This wasn't funny.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. So, I had just so many random things and just inflammation flares where the flushing of where your skin just gets super red and hot as you were saying. But just constant inflammation. My allergies have been worse, where I'll just break out in hives randomly, just for little things. Like I went to the park and walked around in the grass, and then I came home and I had huge hives and red feet, and I was like, okay, basically, with long COVID, there's several different theories where they're still testing things, but one of them really is that your immune system is overreacting to the virus.
Yes.
So the virus is dormant in some system in your body, maybe in your intestines or something. They don't know, but they think that it's basically it triggers with certain people with certain DNA, the right, formula with your genetic makeup. They have found that those people are susceptible to having their immune system be in that fight or flight type thing where it's a, what do they call it, a cytokine, I don't know if I'm saying this right, cytokine storm or something. Sorry, I really am not a doctor.
I don't know either, I'm sorry.
I can't remember how they pronounce it, but basically it's where your body is freaking out. And you were saying now, where your body thinks that, oh no, there's pain, fight it.
Yep.
And so it's this virus is getting us. Okay, all right, that's it. And so
an over-response.
Yes, which is why you're getting the flushing and the inflammation, and it's seeing everything as being still kind of injured.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so I just have this general feeling all day long of grossness. Just this feeling of I just felt gross, and I got really good at pretending that I wasn't feeling gross. So I went to work, and I tried really hard to just pretend oh, I'm fine, I have COVID, but I'm gonna, the show must go on, I'm still mom, still gonna do these things, I still have to bring in food for my family, I can't stop working, and so, luckily, my company that I work for was really, really, the company I work for, they're just really understanding, and when I finally told them, I was like, look, I'm operating at 30 to 70% capacity. I just want you to know that I've really tried hard to not, share this with you, but it was so bad where I was like, I have to, because I cannot physically do this shoot like I would normally do. I had a commercial, and I was like, we need to hire more help. I cannot lift these things. I cannot, my muscles were so weak, I couldn't even open my medicine bottles.
Oh my Lord.
And I was like, I feel like I'm 90. This is what 90-year-olds feel like.
Yeah, I've told that exact age to Rex a few times, where he's had to help me to the restroom morning after morning after morning. But my word, you had baptism by fire with so many things at once.
Yeah, I just was like, okay, I just started this new job in the fall in November, and then I got sick January 2nd, and then I've been sick, and I've been doing this job for almost 6 months, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to just be able to do my job, normal, but I have to realize that there's a chance that I might not ever be normal, or whatever normal is, right? My old normal. And I think that is one of the hardest things to swallow.
The grief There's a grief to that.
Yeah, and it's like
And a shock to the system. A shock to every part, really. Mentally, spiritually, physically. It's a complete shock when something hits you that hard, that fast.
Yeah, and you have to, as you know, grieve your previous life.
Yeah, you bet.
And you've spoken about that, and it really is interesting. It is that grief process, and not just you, but like your loved ones and your friends and
yeah, your support system, and they have a different kind of grief and adapting a kind of grief that's different than having them pass on. It's different, because if somebody passes on, it's a grief of all of what you've lost, and then that they've passed on. But in a situation like this, there's the grief of some things that are lost, and then there's the adapting to what's replaced some of that.
So you saying that,
you know what I mean?
There was one day where I was, pain would get so bad. I haven't been to the ER since COVID started because I can't risk that. I'm already too weak a lot of the times, and on medications that already kind of are trying to suppress things. So I have even more so tried to just keep in my bubble for now. But before COVID, I'd say about 6 times a year I'd end up in the ER because nothing would touch the pain. And even in the ER, they'd give the morphine, and morphine is just nothing. I can't feel it.
For her, yeah. It wiped me out.
Yeah, I can't feel it. So anyway, this particular time we were there, Rex, it was hours, because every time they give you a dose of something, obviously they need to wait so that, they're not killing you and adding meds on top of meds, and so they'd have to wait before they could start another one. And so it was several hours of me just sobbing, and anybody that really knows me, if I'm crying, I'm in a lot of pain because crying for me adds to
makes
that
more
pain. It doubles it because of where the tumors were and what it's done to those nerves. But so I was in there. I think we were going on hour 9, 10, and my sister-in-law came by, and I had just a wet towel over my face, and she just so softly, and I'll end up in tears because she lost my brother years ago to cancer. But she showed up, and her sweet voice just softly in my ear. It's Karen, I'm here. And Rex said he had went out with her in the hall and was talking to her, and he was saying that very thing, how, it's just getting to him, watching this over and over and over. And not just that, Rex has watched a couple of times where I've been real close to not making it.
Yeah,
he's traumatized.
I haven't always been, strong and camera ready and, optimistic. I'm sure that, as you can imagine, right? And
yeah. Well, but he was saying to Karen, for Rex, the suffering, he was starting to realize that watching the suffering and not be able to do anything, and watching doctors really struggle. Eventually, they've come up with this concoction of 4 or 5, it's like 5 medications, and now they have it on file, so whenever I go in, they know exactly what to put together, but they have to put it all together and hit hard. Put all these medications in the IV at once and just get it hit hard. And so, but that took a lot of hours and a lot of visits to nail that down. But I think Karen had even agreed, as hard as it was watching my brother pass away, that if she were still watching him suffer, that's kind of what's unbearable.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that can be more unbearable.
It's like she was acknowledging that would even be harder.
Yeah.
It was a moment where she's saying, look, you know, the family's given compassion for what has happened to Nell's brother, and he's not here with us anymore. And of course, it's not a comparison thing, but it was almost like in that moment she's saying, I get that kind of in a way, you know, what you guys are going through. I can't relate to myself.
She couldn't imagine watching Seth
suffer and then continue, you know, and on and on and it could. And for me, I've said it before. For me, my biggest hardship with it all is knowing that I never have enough strength and virtue.
That's not true.
Because it's nice that we could say that compassion gets developed. It's nice that we can say that it makes you a better, you know, person, and you grow and you improve, you know, you gain strength where you didn't have it before, and you gain, and you actually, you know, start having a little bit less weakness in different areas, or you maybe, you know, become more virtuous in areas that is lacking, and less vice, right? So that, you know, those moments where, you know, maybe you'd have a tendency to be impatient or snippy and things, and that's something that I beat myself up with, because I know that when the cameras go off and things like that, I'm not the example. This is not what this is about, is, hey, look at me, I'm this perfect supporter. You know, there are times when I fail and I fall short, and sometimes where I just have to just like rely on God's grace that hope that Nell will forgive me, because you know, it's something that it's hard. That's probably really hard for me, is that I don't feel like often. I mean, like, I'll use an example, like Nell, it really helps her with her feet getting massaged. And
that's pretty much the only part of my body that can be,
you know,
massaged without causing pain.
It really, really, really makes a difference for her. And that should be something that I always just do, you know, with just the best attitude. But our routine, you know, we have movie nights right here, and we kind of wind down with our friend, and we start wrapping that up around, like, you know, midnight, 12:30, sometimes 1. And so here I'm someone that's getting ready for work, and then that happens to be the time that's helpful for Nell, and you can imagine that I'm just not always like, hey, let me do this, and that really it eats at me to just. I'm sorry, I really feel guilty about not always just being, you know what, let me just, you know, take care of you. Sometimes I'm just not someone I'm proud of, you know. So
listen, if you're a caretaker out there, and Rex has actually been, so I was one of the first to be approved for cannabis in Utah, and unfortunately, like so many other things, didn't do much other than give me one of the biggest highs for 8 hours straight. That scared the hell out of me, but we're trying to still figure that out. But anyway, he has had to be, you know, luckily we've been able to do kind of these type of things, Zoom calls with some of my doctors, and he is recognized by the state as a caretaker, so he can go and get my medications. He can go and get, like, at these specialized pharmacies. He has a card as a caretaker. But whether you have a card or not, but you're caretaking. So with Rex, it's very important to me that Rex gets out, that he, you know, has his schooling, that he has his own goals, that he's you know, he has, you know, guys' night, or that's very, very important.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want me to ever come across as if like, hey guys, I'm just this, you know.
No,
victim.
what I'm saying is to all anybody that's caretaking, you
the
need
importance
to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That is so critical.
Yeah.
And
yeah, you are really
really
good that way. She's encouraging, very encouraging for me to and you know, quite frankly, one of the best thing, probably hands down, even beyond that I would say, the best thing that you can do to a caregiver is just continue to give them grace too.
Yep. Because
if I'm you know, having all my shortcomings compensated by the grace of God and the atonement and all the things that he came down for all of us to make up for, as people that are going through pain, if they just do just that much, they're just kind and they're forgiving and they recognize where their heart's really at, and they do that. That is just huge, you know, because then you know, I'm sure that a lot of caretakers, if you're watching and listening, that can understand that if you're not just choosing, you know, a lot of people talk about in the sense of, oh well, I'm just deciding to stick it out, stuff like that. No, a lot of times people are together and they continue to be together because they are in love with each other and they still love each other, and they are making, you know, not just the best of it, but they're making, you know, something that's new and amazing. But yeah, I'll tell you, that's the biggest thing when she sends that, when you send that message and you're like, you know, no, it's okay, and don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah, and I go with
deal.
Rex. Sometimes he thinks I'm funny about this stuff because I am a hopeless romantic. So.
Oh man, she is like levels above Anne Green Gables. She makes Anna Green Gables and Jane Eyre look like, you know, chopped liver, man. She is like the queen of the.
He's got to be.
Wow, I mean, I'm still trying to learn poetry. We're gonna be learning French here soon. I mean, holy shit. You know, she's. You tell me about it.
Oh, so I tell him all the time, I don't just love you, I'm in love with you. And then I'll be waiting for him to say it back, and I'm like, so. Yeah, but the biggest thing,
yeah.
While you're massaging my feet,
why didn't you know, you didn't you know, yeah. Where is the music? The music is supposed to be playing.
It's in my head.
I mean, look at this shit. Look at this here. Look at these peonies. I got these for.
They're all dead. Don't show them.
No, these are beautiful. They're not all dead.
Some are still alive. They're a little bit droopy, but.
Anyway,
whatever.
She deserves a lot. Yeah, you know,
he's very. The biggest thing.
I try.
The biggest thing, you guys. Laugh.
Oh, you got to.
Laugh.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's more so on my mom's side of the family. That's what we were taught from the moment I was born, is find laughter, find joy.
Oh, and get out of your.
Me and Rex laughing.
And get out of your own head. Things. Like, you guys, I didn't think how much of a blessing it would be to have these interviews. But, like, I'll be, like, pissy inside or something, or I'll be like, you know, struggling to just have things be well at work, and now I need to go and make sure that things are, you know, well at home, and I'm starting to feel kind of depleted with my own strength and energy, you know, and this whole cycle, right? I'm going to be worried that I'm going to fall short with her, and then she's going to feel bad or whatever, and then I start talking and listening to you guys, and that just melts. It just like starts melting. Like, what was I even like bent out of shape, you know? And so it's a form of service, I guess, right? I mean.
We're all.
I'm hoping,
each other. It's
yeah,
beautiful.
Exactly. So anyway,
without fail, every time you guys get us out of a funk.
Yeah, it's helpful for me. It really, it's something I look forward to. I you know, I could. It really is.
Because we know it's going to be a beautiful experience, and we are the ones that are truly blessed. We truly are.
Yeah, and long COVID, Liz, I mean,
thank you for bringing all that up, because
I have never heard of
exactly
any of this. This is just
I've heard of bits, I think about, there's been, except for like the, I love how you explained, which is so much part of my life too, so I can't bend down very often, because then the blood that rushes to my head immediately triggers nerves.
Yeah.
So just little things that you were saying, Liz, I'm like, yes, I get it, but I did not know that was attached to COVID, and the things that you've gone through, absolutely shocking.
And there must, and there's, we always talk about how we all have a behind the scenes life.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean we're hypocritical, doesn't mean we're secretive.
Not.
It means that there's a certain, there's going to be a certain degree that's a little bit more private.
Some of you are hypocrites.
But, but, I'm sure you had your moments where you're probably like, you know what? I didn't ask to be the long COVID poster child, to be interviewed. Yeah. I want to be on a beach sand volleyballing or something, I mean, it's, but it is, I mean, you're kind of, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a mix of acceptance and kind of like, if this is God's will and how can I turn this into a positive thing? I mean, it's kind of a mix of that. And
I would venture to say, as Liz, as you kind of coming out of it, and I'm hoping it is, we're not doing any bouncing back, okay? No step backs. You don't get any more. You're just going to come out of this now. But what happens is that compassion that you already have so beautifully has now been deepened, and now I think that
probably understand
it will drive a whole different set of goals for you.
Sure, you understand your childhood friends better.
I understand you better now. That's one reason why I was like, man, I really want to talk to Nell, because you get it.
Wow.
You get the chronic pain and the chronic, just the crazy different life that you have. Yeah. Once you have this different body and different brain. And I just was like, man, I want to talk to people. And so I love that you're doing this. When I saw, I don't even go on social media that much because I'm so crazy busy these days. But I'm so glad I did at that moment. And it showed me Rex's Instagram. And I was like, wait, what? Like, you guys are doing this whole thing about chronic illness awareness? And I was like, oh my goodness. Because, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah,
and help people understand how it is and what it feels like, and just to have people who are like you now, and all of your viewers, that have the chronic illness. I mean, it's been so helpful for me to know that I'm not alone in that, and being able to know that other people have gone through the same things, and just connecting in that way, and it really made me think about you, Rex, and your children, and my children, and how how there's so many things that you go through. You try to, as the person who's like having this illness, you're trying to put on a happy face, and get the energy that your kids need, and you're trying to you just fake it till you make it, but there's only so much of that you can do.
Exactly.
And then you're just like, okay, kids, you're gonna have to deal with this. You're gonna have to deal with the mom.
We have to figure it out.
She's in so much pain, and she's so tired of being tired.
Or the anxiety of sharing it. And inhale future, exhale past. Sorry, that's the username. I'm not sure.
I love that username.
She says, I have severe anxiety, so I have avoided any topic on COVID. I was drawn to Liz's story. Thank you.
Oh, Liz. That's amazing.
It's really interesting kind of what you go through, and I'm really not a person that usually is that depressed. I usually, I like to live life to the fullest. I love being social.
That's me.
Yeah, and like you now, and I know that it's just, so that's when I don't know, it's definitely been hard for, my family members who, and my new husband.
Yeah. Yep, she's got a whole new husband and kids, and so this hit kind of.
Yeah, that's a whole other dynamic. I mean, wow, talk about a whole other conversation in terms of what, you get married and you get introduced to that, and then all of a sudden something that the husband didn't think was part of the equation now is, and so what does that look like, right? And yeah.
And it's interesting because I've been kind of, he actually, we dated, and during almost all of we dated for a little bit, a few months before COVID hit.
Yeah.
So we started dating January 6th.
Okay.
It was our first date. 2000, what was it?
20.
2019, I think.
Oh,
right?
really?
Or was it 2020?
Was it exactly a year before you got COVID?
2020. It's 2020.
Yeah.
I know this.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and then COVID hit, right, in
Yep.
March.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so funny because there are so many things, our courtship, I mean, we couldn't go to, like, the movie theater. We couldn't go to, like, a play or go on a fun trip somewhere. Like, there's all these different things that were impacted, and so it was interesting because, I mean, I love going to festivals, and, I mean, I just love doing all sorts of things.
Exactly.
And bringing the kids and, going on trips. And anyway, it was interesting because, I told him, I'm like, I feel like you don't even really know, like, the full normal is because we were in your COVID world, and then we got married, and then, blending the family with 7 kids. And luckily we have just about 4 now that are at home at any one time.
Yeah.
And so being able to blend, their personalities and all that, right, in this COVID world, and they're having to, and we're doing homeschool and all those crazy things that we've all had to be doing the last year.
Oh,
but
my word.
having to do that while having full-time jobs, and we actually lost our jobs in COVID as well. So last year, we were unemployed when we got married last summer, and we moved into the new house, and anyway, just so many different things that we've had to kind of go through. Where I'm like, man, I'm ready for some easy marriage time now.
Yes.
And so, but it definitely has made us really see different sides of each other in good and bad ways. I'll be honest. I mean, it's really tough too when you have chronic illness, and obviously everyone understands, how hard it is to alter our lives so much. And, with COVID and with, the COVID environment, and then with chronic illness, it's just like, oh my goodness, like you just get hit with new emotions, and your kids get hit with new emotions, and they have anxiety, and
that's so true.
Yeah, have had so many different things that they've had to go through. But I will say that people have, as long as you are trying to do what's right and be a kind person, and like you said, serve in the ways that you can serve. I just, we've been praying so much for guidance on how to solve our problems with this, and I also learned that I might not solve all the problems, and maybe I should pray for the ability and the strength to get through the problems.
The coping or the developing of strength or virtue. I mean, that nobody wants to hear that as the answer, right? They want to just change and fix everything. They don't want to have to, I've got to do better, or I got to become better, or I got to rise up to the occasion. I mean, that's
one of the things I've learned, and I love to test out all the time now, is if I view something as negative or a problem, or this is something, I literally try to flip it on its head. And what have you given to my life? How have you made me grow? What blessings have you brought that I'm not seeing? And that's been amazing to me. But I will say, with everything that my word, you couldn't have come up with a longer, laundry list of things that hit you and your new family.
Yeah.
We have been so blessed that, so right when COVID hit, Abby was graduating, our youngest. So we didn't have to do the homeschooling thing with young kids, we haven't
Their
had to
kids
deal
weren't
with
at
those
home.
emotions that
all
young kids are having, and
the sounds of
Yeah.
having screaming kids or fighting
or
kids,
just them struggling with their own emotion
Yeah,
and
yeah,
anxiety
exactly.
and their own depression, and they're
Mhm.
not seeing their friends, and they don't know if the world's going to be okay.
Yeah.
My word, hats off to you guys. I do not. I that would just be a whole nother level.
Yeah.
It has been very challenging. I'm kind of just like, I remember, I think I told you, Rex, when I talked in the phone, I was just like, life is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep, you're
and
right.
Just feel like, oh my goodness, but it's so true that when, you have those tender mercies from Heavenly Father,
Yes.
and it's like so interesting. You get that message that you need. In fact, I'm going to show this. This is me. I have this on my desk here. But on Mother's Day, I was having a really hard day. I did not feel good emotionally in any way. And I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, and also Mother's Day, it's kind of, I don't know, I guess sometimes we have expectations, right? Of like what we want,
Yeah.
And the kids are supposed to be angels to us.
Yeah.
And they're going to wait on his hand and foot. And they're going to
Yeah.
be crazy breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
They are not going to be selfish. They are just going to know exactly what I want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's setting yourself
I am
up right
so
there.
dead because I know Liz's sense of humor. I know
Yeah.
exactly what she's thinking of the mom. And I've actually felt that, like, what in the actual, and sometimes to them it's another day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's Mother's Day.
Mm.
Get up a level, kids. But no, I mean, I
has a
try
sign.
to have crazy expectations, but there is that level, I think, of most moms that you're like, look, I kill myself every day for you kids.
Yeah.
The least you can do is make me some eggs this morning,
She's walking around with a Happy Mother's Day to me. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Anyway, sorry, I digress. I'm really bad at tangents. So let me back up on my track. But I was going to say that. So I was having a really hard day. I did not know when the stupid long COVID was going to be over.
Yeah.
I was sick of feeling like crap. I was sick of not being able to breathe. I want to have energy. I love having fun with my family. I love doing fun events. I like being the fun mom, not the mom that's sick. And has to always be like, "Mary, no, I don't feel good enough. I don't have the energy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't breathe."
Yeah.
It's very, very frustrating. And so, anyway, I just, was having one of those days. And also, one thing that's actually really interesting about COVID, which I don't know if everyone really focuses on this part, is just the inflammation that you do have in your brain. They do talk a lot about brain fog.
I've never heard that.
I haven't either.
Oh, it is huge. It is something that I usually can think of things really quickly in conversations.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, you're
talks.
right.
But I have had so many problems where I'm like, what was I talking about? Where I'm like,
Welcome.
That's another thing to relate to with Nell over here.
When we do get together, Liz, we're gonna have the best time ever. Oh my gosh.
So it's just been really frustrating when, in business too, in conversations.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
I'm like, and it's so interesting because it's like it just zaps the energy out of every single faculty of your body.
Yeah,
where
yeah, for sure.
I would be on the phone. I remember actually talking to you, Rex, about this, about being on the show. And I remember thinking, I sometimes have no energy in the middle
Oh,
of a
yeah.
conversation. And sometimes it's like I'm brain dead. Like, I normally would think of a joke right now. I know that I normally would think of something funny. And I just couldn't. I had, like, nothing in my brain to give. I couldn't.
That's
I was like,
crazy. You guys, that's not Liz, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's so, this brain fog thing is interesting, but what comes along with that is the depression and anxiety where my emotions have been so close to the surface where I would just be in a conversation and
of course they
out
are.
of nowhere, I just start, I want to cry. And I was like, I'm not PMSing.
No, it's a whole new thing. I did not know about the brain. That's crazy. That's insane, you guys.
It's been really interesting. I had no idea that it would hit my brain that much. And
oh my lord. That's scary.
Wow.
But I will say that, like, was just really upset with like my whole family, and I was just like
My whole
sad.
family.
Yeah, I was pretty much, everyone was like annoying to me. and even though they tried, my
That's so
husband got me
hilarious.
flowers, but like, I don't know, I just was having a really hard time, those days where you're more sensitive, and just
Yeah.
everything is hitting you like harder than it really should, but you just,
Yeah.
and you know that you're being ridiculous sometimes, but you can't help it, like your emotions are just, when you're like that, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I definitely was having a hard time, but it was just really neat because my son, my 10-year-old son Grayson,
Yeah.
he found on my doorstep this cute little thing. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably backwards, but it says "We love you,"
Yeah.
and it's just this little tin, and they
Aw.
filled it with candy.
Oh.
And this is actually a magnet, which I thought was cute that they put on here.
Yeah.
And inside they put I think it was like 13 of these cute little tiny popsicle sticks. I don't know if I can make a little bit better. But right here, and on each single one they wrote something neat about me.
Oh, that's.
Oh.
A sincere compliment about me, and it was, I don't even know who gave it to me. It was someone amazing, whoever they are, and they just totally brightened my day. Like, it says, like, you always make us laugh.
Yeah.
And, and it said, like, you're so organized and all.
I love that.
And it was so cute. It was like, you're so smart.
Oh, I love that.
And, you're a customer, and, all these amazing things about me that I definitely wasn't remembering at that
Yeah,
point.
exactly. You were not feeling at the time.
Yeah.
Being
and
hard
I
on
Just to be
yourself.
reminded.
Like, yes. How sweet. And if this is something, this took them some time to do.
Yeah,
and
that's
they
true.
really thought about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
It wasn't just like, hey, like, here's this, this plate of cookies, which still is amazing. It's, that.
Yeah.
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 Amazing that too. But, like, just going the extra mile with really making that personal.
Yeah, that took some effort.
Yeah, I was just, and I had no idea, like, and this doesn't happen to be everyday people.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not normal, and so it just really made me realize, just like, man, God, you rock.
Yeah, I know. Well, no wonder you keep it right there.
Yeah.
Right there where you can see it. And I'm
Yeah.
so happy for your family because you love them again. And
It helped. You're right.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, oh, people are all jerks. You should give my family a chance.
Yeah.
you're like, thank you, thank you, thank you, but don't ever come that close again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But it was just really neat. So just so many neat things. And so I was just going to say that, because, so for a while I suffered in silence. I think this is my other
Yeah,
point that
that's
I really
true.
want to say, is that so many of us just are, first of all, you don't want to admit you have a problem, right? At the beginning,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm fine. I kept thinking, oh, I'll be fine, like, tomorrow,
Yeah.
I'll be breathing in, and I'll be able to work like normal, and
Yep.
I'll be fine. But it just didn't happen.
I did that for years.
And then, then I just was like, okay, I have got to admit that I need help. And I
Oh.
had the feeling that I should finally tell people and reach
Yeah.
out. And so I posted on Facebook my experience. And I just said, hey, if anyone else has long COVID, please reach out to me. I'd love to help you.
Yeah.
Maybe, what I know can help you. Maybe vice
Yep,
versa.
that's true.
Yeah.
And so it was really neat because people were able to kind of give me a couple different things, and a few of my friends do have long COVID, turns out. I didn't know.
That's crazy.
I didn't see, and so I was able to read their posts about it and talk to them. And
Yeah, help each other.
And by the way, I want to tell everyone, you're not contagious when you have long COVID, okay? Like, after the first acute phase of COVID, like, you're not contagious. So don't be, like, shunning people who
Yeah.
have COVID for 5 months. Or
Yeah, really.
That
Hopefully you know.
those facts are so important to get out there.
Yeah.
That's so important that you said that.
Yeah, so anyway, it was really, really interesting for me because it's like, I realized I need to put myself out there. And like you said, I'll be the poster child. Right
Yeah.
now. Do I want to? No. But I
Yeah.
do
do something good with it. Yeah.
I like to connect with people, and I really do want to help other people, but I want to just, I mean, there's so many people that are suffering with this, and a lot of people are afraid because they've been shunned. And my one friend said that people were judging her for getting COVID, and she has long COVID, and she had the headaches that I had. I guess I talked about that, but yeah, I had a headache a lot, and just pressure all the time in my head.
Yeah.
But she just said that like she was like shunned, and people were judging her like,
what the hell?
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
What did you do? Did you not hand sanitize? And, you know, like,
yeah. Did you not wear a mask? What's your
Rex
problem?
And I have stood up to, we won't name who, but Rex and I have stood up to people who have been absolutely ridiculously and brutally, I would even go as far to say,
bully like.
Yeah, I don't use that very often, and I don't use it lightly. But it got into these bullying. These are grown adults, and you know, we're judging over who's wearing masks and who isn't. And I'm going to take a picture of you, and I'm driving, and because you're so stupid, you have a mask in your car. Never mind that maybe, just maybe, somebody has cystic fibrosis and they don't have the luxury of not having their mask at all times. And so it just was.
Yeah.
We seen what happened. Well, first of all, I was like, well, I hope that I was able to help calm some people down, just because this was my life before. So I wasn't panicked about you know,
the isolation, or
and then but what it showed is how ugly things can get and how beautiful people can rise up.
Yeah.
But the judging, my word, I've never seen anything like it.
And I think too, it was interesting for me because I had people who, like, I'm sure some people were annoyed that like I wasn't wearing a mask after. So this is like, you know, 3 months in, I'm not contagious. But of course there are variants, and you know, no one knows everything right now. But I couldn't breathe. Like I cannot. I can't go to my son's basketball game, or I can go and I don't wear a mask and I can breathe.
Yeah.
So what can I do like right now?
I know.
And so it was interesting because I felt like people, you know, in the news and just the community, people, it's like everyone was like, wear a mask, but they were forgetting the people who had long COVID, who weren't necessarily contagious acutely, right? They're not like constantly contagious. They had already gone over the acute phase, and they listened to what the CDC said. I mean, I isolated. I did everything they said.
Yeah.
My husband isolated for me for like 14 days in the basement.
Yeah.
And my son got COVID after me, and he isolated with me in the bedroom. And you know, I double masked when I went to the kitchen. We would go to the kitchen at different times and sanitize everything and between. And it was just. Anyway, so I tried really hard. I did what I thought it was right and what I needed to do.
Exactly.
But I was like, I don't know how long this is going to be. I can't constantly live my life like this, where I'm isolated, where like there's different levels of this illness. And I was at the level where I felt good enough to do things, but I still couldn't breathe that well, and I still had the fatigue and pain and issues, but the point is that I don't believe that there was enough awareness and I guess support for the people who had long COVID, during this mask time when everyone was instructed that they had to wear a mask, and if you didn't wear a mask, you were irresponsible and horrible, and you were gonna be the worst person on earth. And so it was interesting because I remember at my son's basketball game, the COVID police person, or teenage girl who was just trying to do her job at the elementary school that he was playing at. Like, she just was like, you need to wear a mask, and I just explained to her, I was like, I'm sorry, I can't wear a mask right now for health reasons. I just can't. And so luckily she understood, but I know she wasn't happy.
Wow,
And so I just was kind of like, so there's just been circumstances where like I've walked into restaurants, during that time, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I have had COVID, and I legit can't breathe. I'm not on oxygen right now. I'm in that middle group of people who have really bad breathing episodes, and they're in bed and can't breathe, and then they're fine like an hour later. Like, it's such a weird illness, and so it's just anyway. So it was really interesting for me, and so I'm very grateful that now we've lightened up on that, so that I haven't had to have those issues as much. But
I know
I had to work from home more for a while because I was worried about everyone in the office was supposed to wear a mask, and I was like, I can't. Like me walking from the elevator to my desk, I'm so out of breath. I just couldn't. It was like, I'm sorry.
Well, and on the flip side, we had people that just for reasons outside of their health, like you had a true health concern with it. But people that just didn't want to wear masks because they didn't want their rights taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And that ugliness and the judgment of those who were wearing masks, and from both sides. And I finally told Rex, those old like 17th century, 18th century beaks that doctors used to wear? Those big old beak masks with the goggles. And the reason they wore those beaks is because they would stuff rags full of spices, and that really did keep them from getting sick often.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's it. And I dang near ordered one. I'm like, I'm pulling out one of these just to make people laugh, because I couldn't take the fight anymore between, me and my siblings got laughing about it. I'm like, because they thought it was the greatest thing, and we're like, and then we all walk in a line together. Should we get trench coats to go with it? And can you imagine the sight coming at you? And why don't we just add our guns to it too? And
I love that you can always find humor in that. So I just think it's interesting how people react to things. And we all have our opinions, and honestly, I can see all sides of it. I really can. And so it was just interesting, but I don't know. It's been a very interesting journey with this COVID stuff, and it's like I was saying, I've had like other horrible surprises come up with my health that I'm just like, what? Like, this is confusing to me, but for some reason, just so many weird things are affected by COVID. I guess inflammation just causes weird stuff.
You enlightened me, because I didn't know it did half of what it did.
Yeah, it's been very insane.
And then I ended up in the ER about three weeks ago.
Really?
Because I hadn't had chest pain, except for the beginning of COVID. I had like 1 or 2 pains. That's it.
Yeah.
And then months, no chest pain. And I just had, the other symptoms I was talking about, the breathing and everything. But I got a few months in, I got a chest X-ray, and it showed that my X-ray was fine at that point. I don't know how my runs are now. I need to go get tested and see what's going on now. But anyway, then I all of a sudden just started getting really bad chest pain.
That's
right
scary.
By my heart, my left side, and I was like, uh-oh.
That's scary. That's not funny.
Yeah, really.
I was like, I guess I should check this out.
Yeah.
It could be a blood clot.
It could be heart attack.
Yeah, heart attack. It could be maybe something.
Because really, who knew? If I were you, going through all that your body did and all that COVID introduced, and knowing its capabilities of continuing it on, I for sure would have been nervous as heck and been like,
talk about
we're
increasing your
now.
anxiety. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been, I don't know, all I can say is I honestly think just prayer and just having the strength to be bothered, because I don't think I could have done it without just the tender mercies or other people being kind to me, and at random times, and just when I felt horrible, and then just praying for help, and then when you have that moment where that Heavenly Father has taken some of that burden away from you, and you just know that like the only thing that you did different in that moment was pray.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So you know it has to be
No,
that. And
for
so
sure. Yes.
it's been really a neat experience that way. But yeah, I luckily the chest pain was not a heart attack. It was something called actually I could be saying this wrong. I think it's costochondritis, I believe. And it's basically inflammation of the whole chest wall. And so it mimics the pain of a heart attack. So a lot of people, it's actually really common.
That's
fun. A lot of
fun.
people go into the ER because they think they're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
But it's just the inflammation of your sternum area on that side.
Yeah.
And then it can be the whole thing. And with me, with COVID, with having almost 5 months at that point of breathing problems, of lung problems, I think and that and the stress of just everything that I've had to go through, and then I found out that I had to move.
I was just gonna say, and then you had to move.
Yeah, so we just moved in a week ago. That's why I have no decorations, and like on this side is horrible boxes. This is why my camera.
You guys, they have been dealt some things.
Anyway, so I just was like, "Are you kidding me? I have to move because of this housing market. Everyone wants to sell that has a rental because they can make."
It's not fun for the buyers.
Yeah. For the buyers, it's horrible, but for the sellers, it's great. So, yeah, our landlord wanted to sell, and so we had to move right now.
Yeah.
We're in this time where, anyway.
I am so sorry
we
about
made
that.
it through, but because of helpful people, and so I'm so grateful for people that are kind.
Yes.
And that even if they don't understand, like, chronic illness, that they understand in some way pain or suffering, like you were saying, and they can relate to that enough, and then just once they feel that feeling in their heart that they should help someone, they actually have the courage and the strength and the commitment to other people.
That's what it's about.
To help.
Makes more difference than anything else that I can think of. When you hate, judgment is at the root of hate. One of the reasons why people hate each other is because they were judged, in some way, and that causes them to develop hate for the way that they were treated.
You can turn your suffering into more pain or the healing. And look, that's what life is about, period. Is helping each other, lifting each other, giving each other some peace and some answers. And we should be the extension of our Savior's hands.
Yeah, we
and
should be.
In a very literal way. And that's...
And to ourselves, because I know that Nell sometimes will be hard on herself too, and so it's it's sometimes hard. Sometimes the hardest thing is to give yourself your own kindness.
Where I feel like kind of Satan's hold is on me, because like I said, I haven't really, even through all this, I haven't really suffered through depression a whole lot. There isn't a lot of anxiety. I've seriously been blessed with some very precious experiences, I think, that were very intentional, that led up to this, that prepared me for this, and so I don't, but where the hold is for me, and where my thoughts can really, really lead me to a very sad place is, number one, that I am not the mother I want to be. Meaning, up and about, and poor Abby, here we are, we laugh at everything, so.
She's here, she just actually joined just a bit ago.
Abs, are you in here? Okay, so she'll
Hi,
probably. Can you see Liz, Ab? Remember Liz and I really did try to have some kind of pre-contract for Abby and Xander. Wait, you remember we would joke about that?
we was Abby Xander, Team Abby Xander.
We were like,
what?
They would be so cute to, yeah. But anyway.
Funny.
So.
Wait, how old is Abby right now?
18.
Oh, Xander's 17.
Yeah, we were like they're only a year or so apart.
She turns 19 though in
they're
July, so
they
she's
just
almost
were
19.
so both so cute. But
Aw.
Abby, we joke because Ellen is always either me or Ellen, sometimes Mason, will be like, wait, because I have a love-hate relationship with cooking. I don't know what it is, but I prefer my cooking over almost anything because I know what goes into it. I really like the best ingredients. The freshest ingredients. When I cook, and maybe that's part of why I hate it because it takes twice as long. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Churning the butter.
dang near.
Yeah, really.
No, I let my family do that. They really are amazing. My family has their own bees and their own animals and their own gardens, and yeah, I benefit greatly from them. But so Ellen will say, "Wait, you don't remember Mom's lasagna or apple pie or?" And she'll go on and on. And Abby's like, "No, I didn't ever have that." And so we get laughing. I'm like, "Look, Abby. By the time we had Abby, I was giving him ramen and roughage. That's, you know what I mean?
You're like, here's a dandelion. Kids.
Yeah.
Have ramen, and here's a carrot to keep you healthy. I'm just, you know, because at that point, the pain was starting to set in, and but we get laughing about it. But yeah, I owe Abby a lot of dinners that the kids let her know that they've had, and she hasn't. There's a big list. It's growing of things that we're realizing Abby's never experienced that I've cooked. But yeah, you gotta laugh.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Maybe you can also look at it where, those experiences weren't had, but she had other really amazing, life-changing, character improving experiences.
Yeah, she definitely was. She was born an angel.
Yeah.
She was born, and my mom says this too. Abby was born a healer. She knew how to, like I said, calm situations down. She knew when a situation was really heightened, whether it was fear or pain, or she was always softly singing all the time. Wherever she'd go, she was always the one to let things roll off her back, and it's okay. She'd always, it's okay. So, and such a people person.
People like Xander? Any chance?
Yeah.
Does she like boys named Xander?
I'm kind of glad that you remember that, because I remember being like, now Liz, I don't see why we can't
arrange it.
Especially, I just fell in love with Xander. A couple of times Liz really gave us the opportunity to have him over and watch him, and what a sweet, sweet kid.
Yeah.
I cannot believe, when I look at Xander now I'm
he's
like,
turned
what
into,
in the mighty...
He is like a muscle man football guy, man.
Yeah,
what in the Avengers happened to him?
Yeah, what in the Avengers? Yeah.
He's like Thor now.
I know.
Yeah, he ate his spinach.
He got his roughage.
Everyone kept asking me, like, what are you feeding Xander?
Yeah.
And I was like, peanut butter?
Yeah.
He had like a jar of peanut butter in like 24 hours, I swear. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh, the kid, yeah. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
You guys, you could see him. He is just...
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be
How tall is he?
facing him on the line of
No.
a football game.
I think he's 6 feet now. I think he's 6 feet.
And
There's debate about it. I think he's 6 feet. Anyway,
Just-
but I'm sure we're boring people about my kids.
yeah, but just to give an idea, he's 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a cute kid. He cannot ever cut that hair.
He actually just did cut it.
How
himself.
short?
Yeah, it's now, it used to be longer than my hair, actually, but
Yeah.
now it's like in here.
Oh, really?
So
Like
it's-
shoulder length?
Yeah, like a little, yeah.
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 Okay. That's okay, I guess.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
yeah, I don't know, I love that, I don't know, I just love that you guys are able to help so many people, and I hope that something I said today.
Oh, but I was just gonna say, well, so are you.
Yeah, 100%.
You're you know, massive inspiration, and it's been an absolute pleasure to
Yeah.
talk to you, and we will, I promise you, we will make time, and I will make sure that, because the times that we do have, like we just recently had, I don't know if you heard about the suicide in Eagle Mountain of Lydia. That was their family to us. So Julie
It
Morgan,
was like a niece.
who is family, and she's lived
Yeah,
here
she knows
with us.
Julie.
Yeah, you know Julie Morgan from the ward.
It's okay, it's been so long, I'd have to look.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, you'd recognize.
We've been together now 7 years, and she lives kind of in the basement apartment that we built down there, and it's been such a blessing. But her family has just become our family, and that was her niece, just 16 years old, and that was just 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
But anyway, the energy I do have, I kind of will like save up and make sure I have the proper medication for times where we do have visits, and
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say to you is I'm putting you at the top of the list,
Yay!
and we'll have you guys over for dinner and just visiting and games, and yeah.
Yeah, I would love for you to meet my husband.
I
and
know,
I just
we
love
need to.
do like a little dinner. And,
We will.
Yeah, have fun, and maybe we can get those crazy 17, 18-year-old kids together.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be fun for you to, and then you can meet our little grandbaby girl.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That would be really fun.
You guys are too young to be grandparents. I'm amazed.
Yeah, we
Should
see.
get in Utah.
We started
You
when we
are
were
gonna
young.
love her. She is she's one of those babies that just, there's not a person that she's ever, you know, she's very social, has never cried being passed to anyone's arms, and she just studies you, and then you'll eventually get the biggest smile ever.
Yeah.
She's gonna be 9 months coming up,
She's
but
fun.
she is
Aw,
such a blessing and so much fun.
that's
She's
awesome.
fun.
But yeah, that's Mason's little baby, and they're a beautiful family.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of
Yeah.
at work.
Yeah, so we'll have to have the families over and just, we're all laughers, so we'll get some games out and laugh our guts out.
Yeah, it'll be fun to have you over.
Yeah, it really does help. Even if you feel gross, I've learned
It
that
does.
it does help. Just,
It-
you know, and you don't have to have like a marathon session like you might, you know, back in the day when you had your normal energy
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
You can have an hour and a half dinner sometimes, and it's like I would go out, you know, with my friends here and there in the last few months, and I was like, I know that I don't feel good right now.
Yeah.
I had to take another inhaler right before I went to the restaurant, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I popped an inhaler. I was like, okay, but I was like, you know what? I need this. We all need that.
Yeah.
And our friends need it too. Like my friends have missed me.
It
Yeah.
is. It's super
And I was
important.
like, yeah, I just kind of learned, like, and I thought to myself, you know what? I can plan it for a day, then I know the next day I don't have to do anything major.
Mhm.
Because usually, you know, even on those good days, they say with long COVID or any, you know, chronic fatigue syndrome and all those,
Yeah, yep.
any illness, that they say pace yourself. And that's
Oh,
something that
that's
I
huge.
I never rest. I hate resting, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this has definitely taught me a little bit more about pacing myself and realizing, like if you know you have to do something and something that is a priority to you and that matters to you, so you really want to see that family member and you really want to go to that party or whatever it is that is important, then you can, or even if if you have the ability to control the timing of it, it's so great to. I found that if I schedule those moments, right, with some buffer days to rest and recoup, it really helps. And it's like, okay, I know that I'm gonna have. I mean, you never know. Life always throws stuff at you, right? But
exactly.
Whatever you have it in your control, there are little tips and things that you can do to manage your life and your new normal.
Yeah, the new normal. I like that. Yeah, exactly.
And also just remember and just set expectations with other people. Be like, look, I am letting you know right now that I totally want to do this. Let's plan this dinner. And I told my friends, if for some reason I'm at the point where I just can't do it, I will let you know. But I definitely want to plan it. Plan things. Because for a while I didn't plan things. And then I had no hope. And I was super sad and lonely. And then I realized that life has to go on. I have to give myself a chance for happiness and connection.
Yeah.
And
for
so
sure.
I started doing that, and it really did help. And even though I remember my friend was like, she was surprised because she didn't know I had long COVID either. And so I told her, I was like, by the way, I kind of feel horrible right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I felt gross this entire evening.
Yeah, and they wouldn't even have known.
When I first going through this, the first several years, I was pretty good at hiding it. And I was at a 10 pain, and I could successfully hide while I would have a 2-3 hour conversation.
Yeah, weird.
And Julie has, because Rex wasn't there, and I'm talking about, girls' nights and things that I would, always want to be at and make sure, just like you're saying, because that's so important and it gives our souls so much back, right? But Julie, on a few occasions, has had to go straight from an event and drive me straight to the ER. And nobody knew but her. But, when I was president of the primary at Willow Springs, our presidency got really close, and for so long we were so good at seeing each other every month. Even after we all moved, and then it was every other month, and then I'll never forget the day, because we'd always do dinner and then Domino's. We'd take turns at each of our houses, and I'll never forget the day that I finally had to say, I need to be taken home after dinner, and I said, I can't do, and you could tell in the car, there's a sense of shock. It was quiet, it was, when you're more honest and they start learning that, oh wait, you can't just go as long as we can all the time, and how bad is this really, and you need to be honest with me. And that was a hard step for me.
Time.
To be honest.
Thank you so much for, I don't remember if it was, who was the lady that came up with the spoon theory?
Yeah, that was years ago. She was actually having lunch with her friend, and she just used spoons because that was what's on the table. It was just a perfect. Her name will go in and out of my head all the time, but I'm always trying to educate on that theory. But it really was adopted very quickly in the pain community.
Yeah, and it really, I actually had not heard that until recently, until I watched your show.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that theory at all, and I was like, oh my goodness, yes.
Which
is exactly it.
Which is
I was telling my family about it, and I was like, this is it, because people people don't understand when you turn down certain events, but then you go to certain other ones, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And like you
yeah,
said,
don't take it personal.
Like you said, so when it was really bad for you, a shower could use up a spoon. Like that would have been insane for us to think about when we were more healthy, right?
Yeah.
Like what? That wasn't an event. Well, yeah, it was. You know, like but
getting ready for the day.
Oh my word.
I was like, even putting on my makeup, I'm like, my arm would be tired in the middle of my mascara.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to take a break right now.
Oh my gosh.
And then I would cry.
Oh my
and then my mascara would get all over.
Wow.
And then I'd be more mad and sad.
Oh my word.
Oh no.
Even more effort than I did now. And I was like,
I seriously.
Yeah.
put my mascara on again.
I cannot say more that you just, man, you were baptized hard into this reality, and because you learned so many angles of it very quickly, but that's where Spoonful of Sugar came from, and funny enough, so there's been all of this sort of serendipitous type things happening, right? But I know that's it's not that, it's the Lord's hands, but things have been just happening very organically the more we do this. And anyway, so if you notice when Rex posts kind of this is who's coming up, there's a theme song, and it's I Will Rescue You. I'm sure you've heard it if you've seen any posts that he's posted.
Is it the J.J. Hunter?
Laurel Daigle or something like that.
Lauren Daigle.
Lauren Daigle Rescue.
Oh, Lauren Daigle, yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that is the song that has just been on my heart for a couple of years, and that's what we use all the time. And that is kind of the song that's behind my letter that I wrote for Good Things Utah. But it just dawned on me, because in that song it said over and over, I hear your SOS. I hear your SOS. And I was talking to Rex about, because eventually part of the way we would like to bring in money to help others is through our own store. And so I'm going to get back into art. And anyway, I was saying, I'd love just some different t-shirts, but I all of a sudden realized Spoonful of Sugar, SOS, literally, and I had never realized that. In over a year, I hadn't realized that correlation, and it was just happened in an instant while I was listening to another amazing Christian group, Elevation Worship, and I don't know, it just, that realization, and I think I ran to Rex and was like, you will not believe it. So we have our first kind of ideas of a lot of different designs and things that we'd like, but the fact that the two married and I had no idea, they were completely separate kind of, it's just a testament again that he knows us so intimately, and he knows us before we know. He knows so much of, and especially when you finally say, this is yours.
Yeah.
Thy will, not mine, and what can I do to help your plan here on earth? And boy, does he use, when you, it's almost instant when you truly say those words and really mean it at the same time. He does not waste time. Because he can't. We can't.
Yeah, Laura Lingle is in the house here, and she was our first person that we interviewed. And here we are. So
all of
exciting.
you that are in the beginning, I was telling Rex we'll eventually, maybe like a year from now, re-interview. Because,
fun.
Yeah, you know, kind of the ones that kind of help pioneer with us is just going to be such a special thing.
Yeah,
and I want to say thank you to all those people who stepped out there, even though I'm sure some of them were nervous about it. I mean, I was nervous about going up to. It's kind of nerve-wracking to share your life with all these people that you don't see.
Yeah, it takes courage. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you, because one of the songs that got I love music. I'm a singer, and I just love music, and it really touches me. And I'm so grateful that you introduced me with one of your posts, you guys, to JJ Heller and her music.
Isn't that incredible?
Gosh, that was so. I Believe in You.
Yes,
song by her,
that.
And then all the other songs too. I've made playlists on my Spotify.
It is.
My going to sleep
she is
playlist.
nuts.
I've got I Believe in You and my Getting Ready playlist. I've got all of her other songs, and I even have a little lullaby playlist now of her sweet lullaby.
I love it. I love it.
And for my kids. And anyway, I Believe in You was just amazing, and I was able to show that video to my husband.
Yeah.
To help him understand. I was like, look at what they're going through, and he can relate with her husband.
That's
in
awesome.
That video,
Yeah.
Carry his wife and just help her in ways. And it was so touching, and just anyway, I'm just so grateful you introduced me to that, because that music, along with Lauren Daigle and all these other amazing artists, really did lift my spirits.
I'm glad to hear
just
that.
cry to these songs.
Yep, you do.
I'm so glad to hear
look,
that.
I will introduce you to some more that will knock your socks off.
Oh, you got to follow Elevation.
There's a group called
Worship.
Elevation Worship, and
wow.
I told Rex, I don't know what it was, but the second song in, I was like,
the most amazing Christian people and music, and oh my goodness.
We know an amazing songwriter. She's actually sister of my childhood best friend, and she writes some
Kristen
beautiful
Morrison.
music for people.
Or Camelin Morrison.
And I said one day, because I would like a song, by a Christian group that really centers in on this, chronic pain community and suffering. And I said one day we're gonna meet them, and I want to do some type of collaboration with them one day. But Elevation Worship they're another level. They're another level of beautiful. You
will die. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, there's amazing, like Mercy Me, and there's other amazing, but oh my goodness,
there's something about this group that just...
And their videos.
Yeah.
Because
I would search them on YouTube so that you can actually
watch the videos, because they do these videos in this amazing, perfect, equalized sound variants and sound stage, and all these groups of diverse people.
Picture this. So picture this. This will give you a funny picture as we're ending here. But so my family's so gracious. It's always when the main level of our home doesn't get used much. They always come up to me in my room, and luckily it's big enough to hold all of us. But a lot of the time spent in here so that I can rest, because we just have the bed that can like a hospital bed. It can lift my head, so
there's two separate beds. Yeah. So if somebody, me or anybody else is next to her,
exactly,
she can have her own.
But it also can massage and
it vibrates and massages and helps.
So a lot of times it's hard for me to just even hold my own head up and use those muscles on the couch downstairs or whatever. But anyway, so our nightly routine here with just Julie, Rex, and I is we get a movie going, or some pole dart going, or whatever other show we're hooked on. Outlander.
My goodness.
But we start it now with elevation worship, and Rex is just in his own world with it. Me and Julie are usually in tears. And then when we have our little granddaughter, I'll use her little hands, because I love that speaking with, the language with your hands, especially with babies. But I'll use her little hands and tap her little hand on her heart, and she now will just go forever.
She'll be singing with us.
But we're in tears. Rex is just singing along. She's trying to sing along. Like
I'll listen to it while I'm at work. Even it helps.
The sorry side of the few of us. It's so funny. But we start our kind of night with them.
Blessing. Their song "Blessing" is my favorite one.
Blessing and the blessing and
the blessing
and talking to Jesus.
Talking to Jesus.
And you'll love them all. There's not one that I do not absolutely love, and I do not say that about a lot of groups where I love every single thing they put out.
And you just feel the people that are singing, like they're just kind of.
Oh my word!
We connect with kindred spirits on here, and it's not just the music, but as they're pouring their heart into it, and the diversity, all races and styles. They've all got different styles and of
ages and cultures.
I love seeing that, right? And then you could just tell the love that's just in that room. It's just an example of what the world should be, and there are people. We really have a connection with them. So
look them up. Let us know what you think.
Okay, I will. You know what we should do? We should share, everybody in your community, your listeners, everyone should share their favorite playlist, if it's Pandora or Spotify or maybe YouTube even, with just inspirational songs.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Such a good idea.
Yeah, I think that was so neat and on Spotify, you can just follow each other and stuff and share. And,
yeah, really.
But I think it'd be so fun to have, that community to just come together like that.
I love it. This is why she has the job she has, you guys.
Yeah, I'll have to when I do the 60-minute excerpt highlight, I'll have to capture
the 60-second.
Or the 60-second. I'll have to capture that little recommendation so that on the post and
wouldn't that be such a beautiful playlist to create though?
I can invite people to leave some comments of what they would recommend. So
what gets them through? What
absolutely
what helps them find joy and peace, and that would be incredible.
Yeah, because Nell introduced me to them, and I just absolutely love them. He
listens to it while he's working.
So you never, we underestimate ourselves too much, and that doesn't mean that we have to puff ourselves up. But goodness, put yourself out there, and there's much more that you can do than I think we give ourselves credit for. That. And the glory be to Heavenly Father. It doesn't have to be. In fact, I'll just say this last thing. I'm just paraphrasing, but I've gotten to develop some friendship with Nathan Osmond. He's the son of Alan Osmond of the original Osmond brothers, and his Alan's mom, so Nathan's grandma, made a comment that went something along the lines of, you'd be amazed at what you could do in this world when you don't care who gets the credit.
Exactly. That is beautiful.
And boy, is that powerful in that. And she started the Children's Miracle Network.
Oh my word.
And Alan started Stadium of Fire. These are major, major things in Utah, and so they're raised. And Nathan Osmond now, and what he's got going on, he sings.
It's because they all do it.
They live that principle.
Faith.
Yeah. They put themselves out there. You don't have to worry about whether you're getting judged. You don't have to worry about whether or not you're doing it for fame, because you're detached from who gets the credit, and you just be amazed.
That's what I was saying early on when I finally was like, and it was important for me to say those words out loud.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things you just feel like I need to get this message across, and I but you know that he'll know that your words are matching what
Yeah.
is truly in your soul. It's not just words.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was, you know, this is yours. This is your mission. This is what this world needs, and it needs to be headed by you. And so, in one of the songs, it so beautifully says, there's no limits when you're in this room, and my mind is yours, my heart is yours, it's all yours. And that gives such a freedom. It literally, of the ropes that any of us were tied to before, it literally loosens those, and the worry just melts away. And that's why I was telling my mom, I'm not worried about that. I'll find
how
a way
the travel
to these
might
people.
work. Yeah, the things that you want.
That's something that he will help make happen. But
That's awesome.
what a blessing you are, Liz.
Yes.
Thank you for not just, you came into our lives. I'm so blessed that our paths crossed, but you just stuck with me in a way that a lot of people haven't, and you don't know. So don't ever, not for a moment longer, think that, hey, was I bugging them, or no, it was quite the opposite. It was touching, and and we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, we're gonna have you. So.
Yay is right. It will be fun. Very needed.
And I love the idea of getting like the playlists and sharing.
Let's do that, you guys.
And like even like having like a getting ready for the day playlist to get
There
you
you
courage.
go.
Yeah,
That
really.
all of us are connected to. Yes.
And then like a going to bed, like
Yeah.
and I love like that song. Did you guys hear that song by J.J. Heller? It's called In the Morning.
I don't think I have. Okay, and there's another one I gotta look up.
It's so good. I'll share my playlist, but it's on my
Okay.
going to bed playlist.
Yeah.
And after, usually at the end of the day, I'm exhausted even more than the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing because it's like in the morning, you'll be fresher and you just, I don't know, it just gives you hope.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful one.
Anyway, there's so many good ones. So many good ones.
Yes,
That's gonna
that's
be a
an
good
awesome
one for me
idea.
because mornings are not easy for me. So
Yeah, mornings are harder for me too. And then I kind of get going with like medicines and, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person, that's for sure.
I'm not either, like even normal before.
I was gonna say even normally, but when you have these conditions that you gotta wait for medications to work for you, it's another level.
Yeah.
But that gives me chills to think of. Let's do this. Let's
Share
create
the
this
place.
playlist because that is a whole nother connection
Yeah, really.
that we can build with each other.
And it's a way that, even if you don't feel that good, and, most of us still, thank goodness, can hear, right? Most of us have been blessed with still having our hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is such a good way that, even when you are just, like, your eyes are closed and you have so much pain, you can still listen, right?
Yep.
You can still listen to music. And I think it's so healing. And I've actually been getting into, I don't know if have you done any, like, binaural, I don't know how to say this, binaural beats, like healing frequency?
Yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Yeah, I've been getting into that. I don't understand all the science of it. I just know that I do feel like I'm better. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just placebo effect, but I do believe in
I think there's
of certain frequencies of music and
energy. There's energy in everything.
They've done a lot of studies on it. Where I was introduced to it was in one of my pain management, from one of my pain management doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And my head wasn't my head's never in the right place, let's be honest, but I could tell that it was trying to calm it down. But what happens, Rex? What happens? And we've seen this numerous times, and this is one of the. This is where the doctors just don't know, and Rex and the kids and anybody knows me now, but what happens is things will start to work, And then my nerves, they're I don't know, they're, Abby said, so she was a lot younger. She needs for me to say this. Preface it with she was a lot younger than she is now. But she came in one day and she says, Mom, and I was in pain on the side of my bed. And she's just looking at me like in wonder. And she's like, you're like a superhero, but backwards. I died. I was in so much pain, but I was laughing so hard. Because I got her meaning.
Backwards.
She was like, your nerves just don't, like, they're the strongest thing.
But
Like,
in the
they're
wrong way,
super
strong.
nerves, but they don't know how to act right. So her words were so
That's how
sweet
she.
and
That's how
funny.
she made sense of it
Yeah.
in her little
Yeah,
mind.
that's adorable.
You're like a
Yeah.
superhero backwards. But it is interesting how, so we tried those frequencies. We've tried medications. My sister's very, very, she's a very good massage therapist and knows reflexology, and I don't know what we haven't tried. But anyway, what happens is I'll be like, I'll be thinking, okay, I think it's working. Then what happens is my nerves recognize, and then they get very, very angry very quickly, and everything shuts down. And then we're in a race to try to stop it, and it takes hours to do that again because
Get on top
you're
of it.
taking meds, and then that didn't work, and we've got to wait, so we're not getting, you know what I mean? I can't tell you how many times that's happened.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So,
Fun. Good time.
I'm a backwards
Date night. Come
superhero,
join
y'all.
us.
You are. Well, you gotta be unique now. So.
Yeah.
It's a party over here sometimes, you know.
I think it would be so fun. Okay, I'm gonna start brainstorming things that you guys can do, and you can take my ideas or not do them. But I already have more ideas.
Okay. Absolutely. Just keep them coming.
I think it would be so cool. What if you had like an online concert? Just because I know we need to be careful with germs and all that.
Yep.
But what if you did what if you had like JJ Heller or maybe one of these other artists, like the
Elevation Worship, already thinking of it.
Yeah.
I've even literally called them out. I'm like, you probably never see this, but yeah, I'll be collaborating with you one day.
Well,
Nice.
we already have connections with someone that we're
No, but
And
that's something kind of different.
I know.
And we don't want to
talk too much about. Yeah.
But 100% the concert that can connect everyone,
Yeah.
that's got to happen.
Yeah, that'd be way cool.
Yep, for
That'd be
sure.
so neat, and just for everybody, because you can be in pain, you can be in your
Exactly.
bedroom, you can be in the hospital, but
Yep.
you can stream the concert.
Yep, and it doesn't matter. It won't matter. We're all connected.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'll think of more ideas, and then maybe we can.
They're very welcome. Don't ever feel like you're bugging us. This is what this is about. We're all in it to help each other, and
Yeah, the main
make
thing.
things easier for each
The
other.
main thing is just allowing for the time for things to kind of
Sure.
to happen, right? Because as you get into coordinating all the details, and you know this, probably better than anybody, is that there's
That's
a
true.
lot of work that goes
Yeah, behind
into
the scenes.
making visions happen and things.
Yeah.
And so as long as people are aware that, just because you're not seeing the results of some things doesn't mean that things aren't happening,
Oh yeah, they're in the works.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
and it's
there's a lot in
it's
the
much
works.
better to let it take its time so that when it's finally done, it's done right. You're not just throwing
You
something
guys have
together.
heard me
and
say this several times. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
This is how much this is how much this community has touched me and how much I love you guys. There's no one too big, no one too busy, no one too important to notice you and to give more to you. So for those of you that don't have anyone, and you maybe are thinking of checking out, I'm asking you to hang in there. Because we're working hard. We're working hard. Because you deserve to be seen in whatever way is most beneficial to you. But what you accomplish every single day is astounding. And just remember the other thing that I try to say all the time, you know, the words warrior and resilience, they don't do justice to what some of you are overcoming and overcoming and overcoming, and you just keep push and repeat. And I know you're tired. Yeah. And I know for you it's a lot worse. You know, I can imagine some of you. So please hang on. That's all we're asking. Please hang on and know that we are working several angles. But no one, I've said this, and we kind of, again, like, you don't know, obviously, we laugh at a lot, but it's very serious in the end when I say, I will sit in front of the Queen of England. I will sit in front of Oprah herself. I will sit in front of the President. I don't care how far we have to go, because it's been too long that the attention has not been on you.
Yeah, the world just kind of going along while you're feeling like you're on the sidelines, you know,
and you're too tired and exhausted and too much in pain and too whatever to be the one to reach out and say, hey, I'm here. Well,
I matter.
We're working hard to find you.
Yeah, to help you feel more connected and even eventually get, you know, having your help and yes. Like you're talking about, you know, it's not just about receiving it, and it's not about just getting it from us. There are other people out there that are also trying to do the same thing, and then there are people, you know, like that take that and then do more, right? You talked about an example where you were touched by a song, and then you talked with your husband about some things, you know, and that's the kind of thing, is that we all have kind of a rippling.
And you all know that our Spoonful of Sugar Foundation that we were working on, it's not, you know, there's no possible way that with how many conditions there are out there and how many levels of severity that your health is at, there's no possible way for us to, I would love to save, and like Liz said, you know, you just want to fix things. You want to make it, well, we can't. But what we can do is we can say, I see you, and I love you, and we can do that in 1,000 different ways. And we'll be calling on companies to be a part of that. You know, and the more we get out there, and the more growth, the more exposure, the more people we help. And so, yes.
I just wanted your viewers to know also that one thing, and I want you guys to know, is that because of long COVID, having so many similar symptoms to people who have basically have chronic fatigue syndrome.
Absolutely.
Right? And a lot of people have POTS because of COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
The long COVID, and then just like fibromyalgia symptoms, and just so many, you know, it's the autoimmune symptoms that get, and different pain, and anyway, so one thing that I've seen there's different long COVID Facebook groups that are super helpful. And,
there you go.
Just amazing people that are posting the doctors that are best for chronic fatigue syndrome.
Oh, good. There you go.
And for all the dysautonomia apparently dysautonomia is, I mean, it is like a huge umbrella of several different conditions, and I've learned a lot more about it now, and that's one of the things that, like, I think that's what I have. I haven't been diagnosed yet because it takes like 5 months to get into the only specialist in Utah that I know of that handles it.
But you kind of have a feeling.
Get it yet, but apparently dysautonomia, POTS falls under that. And, anyway, so, but
and POTS can be very scary. That's,
Oh, yeah. I am, man.
We've got some people that we're talking about that has that.
Yep.
They're on the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, though, that I know that one thing that is so good about the fact that we have had COVID and long COVID, and so many people, they say up to 30% of people who have COVID get long COVID. They have it more than 3 or 4 weeks. And so they have these recurring, breathing issues and fatigue and all these problems that are finally bringing more awareness and understanding.
That's what I was going to say.
And that is huge for everybody who has been suffering, because all of my friends and everyone that I've talked to so far that have, these they call them, the silent illnesses, is that most doctors don't understand you. They diminish what you're saying. They're like, oh, you just had anxiety. You really don't. And I was actually told that by my doctor that, well, maybe your heart palpitations and everything is just, you just have anxiety. And I'm like, I know it's not anxiety. I'm sitting down and I'm watching my favorite show and laughing with my husband. I can't breathe all of a sudden, and all of a sudden my heart's racing. I'm just sitting down. I'm not sad or worried. I'm not. Like, it's not anxiety. I know it's anxiety. So it's just been really interesting. So all of these people that I've been connecting with long COVID, several of them have just been saying like how great it has been for everyone who's been suffering for years and misunderstood for years.
Yeah.
Because finally enough people and doctors are actually getting long COVID, right? It's so prevalent that finally they're like, oh, guess what? You guys were right.
Well, and you help educate the medical industry
and
as
even
well.
Understanding the emotional and psychological toll it takes on a person. So, but you guys, just like Liz is saying, this is a whole brand new community that really helps shine the light on a lot of what you have been suffering with for years. And it's fortunate but unfortunate it took this to, but on the flip side, all of you that are new to this and really dealing with some scary side effects from COVID, just know that you have a huge family with open arms, that are there, that are veterans of this, that are there ready to help in any way they can. These are the most compassionate people you'll ever meet, and we all know the reason why. But it's if you're you guys, if you know someone, I don't care if you know of them, but you don't know them personally, stick a note on their door with our TikTok or YouTube or even our email, because we're trying to get into as many, and to me, the most important, and this is, the dreams that I've mentioned over and over, is I'm trying to search for the ones that are suffering in the most isolated situations. We also are very much in contact with the American Chronic Pain Association, and hopefully we'll be partnering with them in the future. That is my hope. And they, I think we'd make a great team, because they are amazing with great resources, and they can point you into directions that we're still learning about. But what we can offer is that we live it, and we know it, and You are my people, and we're just here to say we love you, and we hope to be showing that in a very physical way, as you guys know what some of our goals are for the foundation. But it's just what I'm asking, and I'm going to ask at every live now from here on out after Lydia, you know, such a sweet 16-year-old, you know, life became too hard. And I know there's thousands that are just on the brink. And it's life, it's just becoming too much. And I'm asking you, I'm begging you to hang on. And, you know, give us all a chance. And like Liz so beautifully said, you know, there's kind of a brand new community coming in that's helping. And just know that we think and pray about you, even if we don't know about you yet. But we're working hard. So the best way for all of you that are part of our group, so that know of us, find, if you know of anyone else, spread the word. That is what we're talking the biggest community out there with such little amount of exposure and a whole lot of judgment because of misunderstandings. And we're about to break through it all. So I say that with all the love in my heart. And Liz, you've been absolutely invaluable, like you always are. We love you. And I hate that you've gone through what you've gone through. I hate that you've suffered. But thank you so much for being willing to share that and share all of your ideas, because you just furthered it so much more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's priceless.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Amazing ideas. Inspired.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
I told you she was a powerhouse.
Yeah.
I warned y'all.
Yeah. Well, we've all been blessed. Boy.
Truly blessed tonight.
Yeah, I'm so glad that these things get recorded and you know.
And TikTok, never scare us like you did last week ever again.
Oh, we thought we almost lost the recording. It takes a little bit of time for the recording to show.
I said, you know what? Let's just all have a prayer.
Have a prayer, yeah.
And Rex comes in and goes, "Hey, thank you for that idea. The video's up."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's his work.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, so watch for that, Liz. I think that'll be a little bit better visual than the back of my head, and you'll be able to maybe.
She's memorized every fold.
Yeah. Peeps.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can just have a date night with the hubby
She's
or
gonna
something.
dream of the back of your head.
Or nightmares. One of the two.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah, probably that.
By dream, we mean nightmares.
Yeah.
Oh man, she's gonna be like, "Oh, COVID was nothing.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm out of that nightmare."
That's true.
We will
I
say.
just got a little challenging to connect with you when I'm looking at the back of the set.
I know it's
Liz
been
is
it's
like,
been great for
you
me.
know-
I get the whole picture and I'm seeing you nicely, but I
She's
forget.
never had like a conversation where the person's been turned
Yeah.
away the entire time.
Well, and plus she's also blinded probably by the light going straight into her face and stuff. So,
You guys,
so.
we always say, you know, this is a penny pinching production. You just gotta
Yeah, we do
love
pretty
us
good,
till
I
we
think.
get there, you know.
It's actually.
Well, I have some ideas to help that too, guys. We'll talk off screen.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We will
Awesome.
talk. You got it. You
That's
got
what
it.
we need. We need Liz help. Oh my gosh.
Produce this up, Liz. No.
Produce this up.
As a producer, this whole setup is killing me. So we definitely need to.
Hey, you guys, did you hear that? Things will get better.
Yeah. So we'll.
Told you.
Hey.
But I totally love that. Honestly, you are using what you have right now.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's like,
Stone, right?
yeah, you do what you can with your budget, and
well, and it couldn't. I mean, we could wait and wait and wait forever because it was for a long time. Well, maybe if I start this new med, I'll feel better. And years go by, and finally it just was like, no more. So yeah, we
well, and on
on
TikTok,
Christmas.
Yeah, on TikTok, if you have the, you do a dual live, and then you're not having to have the laptop like this at all. For one.
Yeah, it's because I'm not a TikTok person.
Yeah,
like,
so.
I like it. I just don't.
Yeah, if you go and glance at some of the videos on our YouTube, you'll see how one of them was a TV wall monitor, and then then it starts getting into just the dual.
You'll see
lives.
The evolution and the ups and downs.
Yeah, so that's the only.
Yeah, I've looked at it.
Yeah. So
it's because I didn't put any work into my own TikTok, and so I'm not popular.
Yeah, no, that's okay, and it's also kind of nice in that, I mean, hell, even if we were in the greatest production studio ever, might still have to be right here in the bed, right? So cozying up on the laptop, even if it's low budget, might just be the thing to do anyway.
However we can connect. We
so we'll figure it out in the areas where we're able to do more than great. In the areas where all we're able to do to get Nell on here is to do this, then we'll do that.
But we will take any help.
But yeah, we'll talk. We'll still talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good news is I have a really good imagination.
Yep.
And I've done a little acting myself, so I just pretended that my little camera circle on my laptop was.
She's gotten through.
There you go.
It was Rex. One of Rex was talking. It was great.
She's had to pull in all of her talents.
Yeah.
And all of her imagination, and she's done a lot of work this whole time.
Yep.
Just trying to visualize. I'm proud of you. That was.
For sure.
I should have put little eyes and a mouth on the back of his head for you, at least.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That would actually help people.
Well, your imagination got you through, and now you can go watch the real deal when we're uploaded. Give me till tomorrow to get it up there, and then you'll see it. So.
And you will be in my prayers. I just hope that you keep healing and things kind of settle down in your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will continue to pray for you and your family, and I have so many times just thought about you guys and just been like, man,
same.
I don't know how you do it, and then finally understanding, and of course I still have never gone through what you individually gone through, but just having more of a glimpse into your life.
Yeah.
It's just that I've been like, and all people with chronic illness.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, you guys are amazing. All of you to go through, and just the endurance and just the strength that it takes to every day keep trying and keep having hope, because I will say, like, I didn't know, I'm like, how long am I going to feel like this? And I will say that have hope, because your symptoms can get better with whatever you have, and miracles do happen.
Yeah, just take it a day at a time.
Yeah, never lose hope.
I really am. I feel so much better than before. I mean, I can do so much more, and sometimes, because it happens so gradually, you kind of you don't remember.
That's true.
Like how bad you used to feel.
Exactly.
Until you kind of get to that point, and I was thinking about how a whole day went by and my head didn't hurt, and it's like, oh my gosh. I didn't even think about it today.
You start to. That's what I meant by you start looking through a different scope, and you start seeing things differently, and you start really recognizing how many miracles are around and about you and within you all day, every day. Because there are times where, like you said, where my head is just at peace, and it's not often, and I'm like, oh my word, and you immediately say this prayer of gratitude and thank you for giving me just a moment of reprieve, and however long that lasts, and for whatever reason. But it really, honestly, our trials are some of our biggest gifts, and it's to me, he clearly sees all of you out there that are suffering. And Liz, my word, you've gone through a war, it sounds like, since January. And I don't want that. I don't need that. You really got hit hard. But he certainly, it should say a lot about you as a person, you guys, that he knows that you can do some of the hardest things that a living human being has been asked to do.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, set yourself apart right now and know that you are special and that you are watched over and that he knows you that well, that he knows that your trial is something that he intimately knows that you not just can get through, but that you can smash. You know? So hang on. If you don't know it now, we'll be working on you.
Yeah.
But love you guys so much. Liz, I love you.
Thanks again.
Thank you for giving so much time to this.
Yeah, give a love to your husband. We look forward to meeting
and
him.
all your kiddos.
Yeah, you got a lot to look forward to, and you got a good attitude about some of these things that you've talked about for sure. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see how things develop for what your initiative is, and
us too.
Let me know how I can help. But anyway.
All right.
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing more of you.
Yeah, we'll talk for sure.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a good night.
Have a wonderful night.
Okay, we love ya. Bye.